Welcome to the Fantasy Audiobook. People in Marvel. My talent can be infinitely enhanced. Chapter 61. Then Wang Yang opened a portal directly in front of him and walked in. Strange walked in without hesitation. After passing through the portal, he saw a white snow. Countless snowflakes are flying. After Strange saw the scene in front of him, he couldn't help being a little shocked. Wait, is this Mount Everest? Isn't it beautiful? Wang Yang said with a smile. Strange looked at this somewhat magnificent scene, and the cold struck him, forcing him to fold his arms around his chest, then nodded and said, "Yes, it's beautiful, although it's cold, it's really beautiful." For him, this place is simply a paradise on earth. This place is very beautiful, but unfortunately it is also a very dangerous place. In the low temperature of minus tens of degrees and lack of oxygen, most people will be life-threatening in just a few minutes. Wang Yang said calmly. A person can only survive for a maximum of 30 minutes, and then he will lose his physical function permanently. For you, you should be very clear. Yes, it is estimated that in 2 minutes, I will be in shock. Strange nodded. At this time, he suddenly realized that something was wrong. When he turned to look at Wang Yang, he saw that Wang Yang had already walked in towards the portal. Concentrate your mind and feel the cosmic energy, Strange. No. Strange watched Wang Yang walk into the portal, and wanted to rush into the portal, but it was too late, and there was only a golden flame that went out the moment he rushed over. He is the only one left here, and a sense of loneliness and deadness arises spontaneously. At this time, Wang Yang had returned to Kamatage. When Modu saw Wang Yang's return, he had a worried expression on his face. "How's it going?" Wang Yang said calmly. "Master Mordo, you must be patient now." When Mordo heard this, he nodded. However, after only a few minutes passed, there was still no change, and no portal appeared. "Wang Yang, it's too dangerous, bring Strange back quickly. I said, this kind of thing is impossible to succeed at all." Mordo's face was a little anxious. He didn't want Strange to die in the Himalayas. But just before he started, there was a golden light in front of him, and then a portal appeared in front of him. Then Strange stumbled out of it, but fell to the ground. Moro couldn't help widening his eyes. He didn't expect it to be successful. How is this possible? How is it possible for ordinary people to do this before they die? Before dying, shouldn't people have complicated emotions and then be unable to concentrate? Some people even look back on their life before dying. At this time, being able to concentrate on oneself is simply outrageous. Mordo looked at Strange lying on the ground, and then at Wang Yang. It was outrageous, and each one was outrageous. But how did Wang Yang know what Strange could do? The two had only met a few times, so why did Wang Yang know Strange so well? Logically speaking, shouldn't it? Isn't this guy a genius not only in learning magic, but also in teaching others? There is a natural talent for learning, but a natural teacher, this is simply not right. Modu couldn't help but have a headache, feeling that he was simply out of tune with these two. However, Strange finally learned the portal, which also means that he has started. It also means that he can start learning other kinds of magic. And Strange's magic practice is very fast. Fortunately, Wang Yang has already been used as a role model, so Modu has already adapted. Looking at Strange's practice now, I don't think so. On this day, they gathered again on the training ground. "Strange, you're making great progress. Now that you have mastered a lot of basic magic, you can also try to learn more in-depth magic," Mordo said solemnly. "But don't be proud, Wang Yang has even learned advanced magic at this stage, so you have to keep working hard." Hearing Mordo's words, Strange glanced at Wang Yang, nodded solemnly and said, "I see. As long as he has achieved a little in the past few days, he thinks it is not bad. But Modu will say Wang Yang, in front of him, Wang Yang is like a mountain that cannot be climbed. For him, it is a strong powerlessness. Feel. To be able to learn advanced magic in half a month is simply outrageous." But then, Strange shook his head and began to learn new magic. The Ring of Ragador. For mages, this is a very classic magic, and it is also the first time that Strange has come into contact with the power of gods. "Strange, you have to remember that we are not facing real gods, but their power. In other words, this is a program, without any awareness, all you have to do is to use them and then invoke power. Mordo said very seriously. Then Mage Mordo, what are these procedures? Strange said with a frown. For him, this is a bit difficult to understand. Everyone is different, you can only feel it yourself. Quote. Mordo frowned and said, everyone's soul perception is different. Then borrowing the power of the gods, the price to pay is different. The borrowed power is also quite different. Just remember, don't want to master the power of several gods at the same time, then your magic success rate will be very high. Mordo spoke again. I see. Strange said a word and started to try. There are some red lines on the palm. These lines are intertwined, but they can't form a real shield. It's just the next moment, these forces will dissipate. After several attempts, Strange couldn't help but get a little irritable. This is simply out of reach. How can humans use the power of gods? Strange waved his hand in frustration. Mordo shook his head and said, Strange, you have to understand that the reason why gods are called gods is only because of their great power. With that said, his eyes turned to Wang Yang and said, Wang Yang, show Strange the ring of Ragador. Wang Yang nodded, then raised his hand and shook, then clenched his fist, red light condensed, and then a shield appeared on his fist. You can't do it, it's just that you don't have enough control over this power. Wang Yang said slowly, yes, you can already use this power, but you can't use it, you just don't have enough control. But then the ring of Ragador changed in Wang Yang's hand, and Mordo was stunned again. With the ring of Ragador in his hand, a huge change has occurred. On top of his shield, there was a huge change, countless golden lines condensed at this time, and then formed the second shield. At the same time, the white lines condensed began to condense a powerful light, and then another shield condensed. And with the condensation of the three-layer shield, then the three layers of Ragador's rings fused together, forming a more powerful shield in an instant. A person cannot use two or more powers at the same time. The power of the gods will conflict. Unless you are powerful enough to control the forces of this conflict, then you can. Although Wang Yang is not strong enough, he has integrated many pieces of talent and can control magic precisely. Each magic is also independent. It can be said that his magic comes from various archmages, and is naturally an independent individual. And when he casts it, he only needs to control these magics. In addition, with Ji Yuyi's talent, his control over this kind of magic is several times stronger. So if he wants to invoke the power of several gods, he can easily do it. Mordo and Strange didn't know this. Seeing this scene, they couldn't help being a little dumbfounded. Strange has been in Kamatage for some days, and he is not a rookie. After seeing it, he couldn't help being shocked. Can this person use the power of three gods at the same time? Doesn't it mean that you can't control the power of two gods at the same time? But what's going on now? It's so unreasonable. When Modu saw this scene, he couldn't help being dumbfounded. He is an archmage, so naturally he can't be compared to Strange, who has just entered Kamatage. There is more to see. Usually, their mages cast magic, and the power of the gods borrowed is only a little bit. Most of the rest is some magic. In the power of these gods, it is like the trace elements in the air, which can strengthen magic. But now, Wang Yang's magic is entirely composed of the power of gods, and his own magic is not much. For him, a mage who has been cultivating for so many years, this is simply something he doesn't dare to deal with. It was extremely difficult for him to borrow it, and now this Wang Yang can only borrow it, and he also borrowed the power of three gods at the same time. Wouldn't different gods produce some kind of conflict of power? It is also impossible for the Supreme Master to borrow the power of three gods at the same time. The key is that they borrowed only 1.5 stars. Wang Yang was better, and borrowed so much directly. When has God ever been so generous? Modu was a little bit shocked. He used to think that his talent was already considered a genius by Kamatage, but Wang Yang's performance was simply how many times better than his. The key is that he can't do it at all. How can he teach students? Originally, he could not teach Wang Yang, but he could finally teach an ordinary person, and Mordo felt much more relaxed. However, I didn't expect that Wang Yang would borrow three gods when teaching Strange. If it wasn't for Strange, he would have been unable to keep his composure. But in front of the newcomer, he must remain calm. Okay, Strange, did you see that? Wang Yang has already shown it to you. let alone borrowing the power of one god, just 2 or 3, as long as you have enough control, you can do it too. And your ability is strong enough, you can definitely do better, so don't look for other reasons. Feel it well, and then control this power. Mordo entered the state again and forgot about Wang Yang's simultaneous use of this power. But Doctor Strange has fallen into self-doubt. Looking at his hands, is it really his problem? Magic is really such an easy thing. Strange gritted his teeth, then began to comfort himself. Then began to invoke power. The red light began to condense, and a white light also condensed. After seeing Wang Yang using the power of 3 gods at the same time, he felt that he should be able to use the power of 2 gods. However, when these 2 forces appeared, bang, a force of repulsion was generated, and it turned into a terrifying force of rebound. Fortunately, the power of the gods he can use is only a little, just knocking Strange away, making him a little embarrassed. But Strange's face was not at all unwilling. It just felt that the young Wang Yang in front of him was really too perverted. Perhaps this is the case with the Archmage. Strange worked harder. Next, he can only try to use the power of a god. In addition to teaching Strange magic with Mordo, Wang Yang went to the library to see other magic. But what made him a little puzzled was that he didn't understand why Strange was horrified every time he watched him cast magic. It seems that the same is true of Mordo, as if it is impossible for them to do it. I don't care about these Wang Yang, and I don't care much. He has never been interested in teaching magic. He is happiest when studying magic at the Kamatage Library. You can basically find any magic in the library. Among them, there are even magics left by various archmages in the past. All kinds of magic mastered by Supreme Mage for Wang Yang. Learning one more magic is one more means of self-protection. Also here is Wang, the librarian. Although Wang used to act as the librarian here, most of the time he was also an ordinary librarian. But since the last time Cassius beheaded the librarian, obviously, an ordinary mage can no longer be guarded here, so as to avoid the same tragedy. This day, King Yang saw a brand new magic. The Wind of Wadam mentioned above. Wadam is also a powerful god. He was created by the ancient Gaia and the creator to deal with the ancient evil god. Later, because it devoured the power of darkness, the power became very powerful. The Wind of Wadam is a kind of magic that borrows his power to form. Ding! Detected Vadam's talent fragments, are they fused? The magic book exudes powerful magic power. Any magic has a bit of power from some gods, and it has a little connection with the gods. Especially this ancient magic, fusion. As the 2 words fell, a powerful magic force condensed, and then merged into Wang Yang's body. At the same time, Wang Yang's mind also had a lot of experience and methods about the display of the Wind of Wadam. However, he did not expect that the talent fragments detected this time came from Wadam. Try it. Wang Yang's eyes lit up. After Wang Yang learned a magic trick, he naturally tried to cast it. It stands to reason that such powerful magic is not suitable to be performed here, and only experiments in the mirror space will be safer. But it stands to reason that the magic he only learned can't exert much power at all. Even if he obtained the mirror space talent from the archmages, he was completely unsuccessful at first. And this time, it was a talent obtained from the magic book, and it may not be able to exert great power at all. Moreover, restraining the magical power that he borrowed is the mark of true mastery. Wind of Vadam. As he spoke, Wang Yang recited something in his mouth. Spreading his palms, a whirlwind appeared in his hands. This whirlwind is not big, just a handful. It even looks a little small. It's no wonder that Doctor Strange doesn't seem to be powerful when he casts it. It seems that this magic is not very powerful in the first place. Wang Yang sighed in his heart, just when this thought appeared in his heart. In an instant, he saw the whirlwind condensed by the magical Vadam wind in his palm began to spin violently. At the same time, the moment expanded. In an instant, the entire area was enveloped in a whirlwind. Boom! A huge explosion sounded. A mighty storm surged into the sky. Countless mages in Kamatage also saw a huge tornado at this moment. This tornado was hundreds of meters long and looked extremely powerful. There is even a powerful force of destruction in it. This tornado is extremely powerful, and it wants to spread out around it. At this moment, a figure appeared in the sky, and then waved his hand. The tornado that seemed to devour the heavens and the earth immediately dissipated. Kama-Taj's mage couldn't help but be shocked. What's going on? What a powerful magical energy. Is there an invasion by foreign enemies? Fortunately, we have the Supreme Mage in charge, otherwise, we don't know what will happen. The Supreme Mage is really powerful, and this kind of magic can be easily suppressed and offset. Quote. In Kama-Taj's library, it can be said that it is chaos now. Countless magic books were scattered on the ground, and countless buildings were turned into wrecks. Many wooden tables and chairs collapsed directly and scattered on the ground. It can be seen how powerful the magic destructive power is this time. Ji Yuyi stepped into the library, and when he saw this scene, he couldn't help frowning, and his face turned gloomy. Who can tell me what happened? Even if Cassius betrayed and fled, nothing like this has happened, causing such a huge loss. It can be said that it has not happened for hundreds of years. This is the essence of Kama-Taj. She has collected books for hundreds of years. I'm sorry, Supreme Mage, it's all because of me. Wang Yang said weakly. At this moment, he helped Wang to stand up. What's the matter? Seeing Wang Yang's current appearance, Ji Yuyi understood a little in his heart. But she still frowned. Wang Yang was also a little embarrassed and helpless at this time. I experimented with a magic just now, but I didn't expect the magic to get out of control. What kind of magic? Will it be so powerful? Ji Yuyi said somewhat incredulously. How did she not know that Kama-Taj had such powerful magic? Wind of Vatum. Wang Yang was even more embarrassed, and said helplessly. Ji Yuyi couldn't help but stunned. She looked at the situation around her. At this time, it had almost completely collapsed. Is the wind of Vatum so powerful? Although the wind of Vatum comes from Vatum, it is generally not strong because of its power. The sky is just a gust of wind, blocking the smoke and dust, and rolling up the sea water. But in the scene just now, if he didn't stop him, I'm afraid half of Kama-Taj would be gone. Where is the wind of Vatum? The most supreme mage, does she still know the power of the wind of Vatum? However, according to the person who performed it, it is not necessarily. If others might not be able to exert much power, then Wang Yang's exertion might be different. But then he could only sigh. Obviously, Wang Yang accidentally brought the style of Vatum to this point. Ji Yuyi sighed involuntarily. This little guy, unexpected every time, this time brought such a huge loss. Wang Yang, no matter what magic you have in the future, don't easily cast your magic in Kama-Taj. I see, Supreme Mage. Hearing the reminder from the Supreme Mage, he said quickly. In fact, there is no need for the Supreme Mage to remind him. After seeing the situation at this time, he also knows that the magic has changed too much, and maybe something will change again. But now he is a little curious about whose talent fragment he just absorbed. It is possible to exert such power from a magic that is not very powerful. Is it from Vatum? Okay, send the king out, I'm going to fix this place. Ji Yu glanced at Wang Yang and waved his hand. Yes, Supreme Mage. After Wang Yang responded, he quickly opened the portal and helped Wang into his room. And the Supreme Master looked at everything in front of him. When he raised his hand, the eye of Agamotto hanging on his chest radiated light. Yu reading. At the same time, everything in the entire room began to glow. Immediately afterwards, everything in the library began to change drastically. Countless books floated up, shattered sawdust, and stones began to recover like a reversal of time and space. After Wang Yang helped Wang to the room, the portal behind him closed automatically. However, I also have some emotions in my heart. Although the Eye of Agamotto is usually placed on Kama-Taj, there are not many people who can operate it. At least he can't. What happened? What happened? At this moment, Wang woke up. At this moment, he only felt a little pain all over his body. Didn't I just be in the library? Why did I come to your room? Wang couldn't even remember what happened just now. He only remembered that he was reading the magic book in the library, but a terrifying magic atmosphere spread immediately, and then he didn't remember anything. Did someone invade? Was it Cassius? Wang immediately became vigilant. After all, last time Cassius directly beheaded a librarian. Now it seems impossible to attack Kama-Taj again. Wang, don't be nervous, just now I just wanted to try the wind of Vatum, but I didn't expect. Wang Yang explained with a wry smile. The wind of Vatum. How could it be so powerful? Wang Yilang said in shock. Looks like you accidentally ran away. Wang Yang smiled wryly. Accidentally run wild, ruined the library. The corners of Wang's eyes twitched and he said with a wry smile. Although Wang Yang made such a big thing, the Supreme Master didn't say anything. Wang also just told Wang Yang not to try magic easily, that's all. By the way, Master, does the power of the gods remain in the magic book? Wang Yang suddenly remembered something. Most of the magic in the magic book is recorded only after the wizard has successfully created it. The writing of magic will also have a slight connection with the gods. Wang seemed to have remembered something and didn't say any more. Hearing Wang's words, Wang Yang also thought of Cassius. The magic book that Cassius tore down was the magic circle that summoned darkness. With this magic circle, you can connect with Dormammu in the dark latitude. So the system directly detected Watam through the magic book. No wonder the power is so powerful. After all, Watam is a magic that favors support, so he can create such a big battle. But if it could absorb the talents of more powerful gods, wouldn't that be? This accident passed quickly and did not cause much impact on Kamatage, especially because the Supreme Master repaired quickly. So things were quickly suppressed. Then Wang Yang went out and prepared for today's teaching. These days, he and Mordo have been teaching Strange. But Strange is the future Doctor Strange after all. Although his talent is not too strong, he should be the top among mages, especially his indomitable will. Otherwise, a human would not be able to make Dormammu obedient in a short period of time, although a large part of the reason was being annoyed. But you can also imagine Doctor Strange's powerful will. Although he is often hit by Wang Yang now, he will recover soon, and he will continue to practice hard. The magic he learned was not slow either. In a few days, he had already learned almost the Ring of Ragador. In the movie, Doctor Strange learns from the magic book by himself, but it is always faster to be taught than to learn by himself. And today, when Wang Yang walked to the training ground, Mordo had already said to Strange, "Strange, your talent is very good. Now you have mastered the Ring of Ragador very well, very good. Many thanks to Master Modu and Master Wang Yang for their teaching." Strange also said politely. After arriving at Kamatage, Strange's personality has also changed a lot. The pride and conceit at the time were also much less. Perhaps it was because he saw that Wang Yang's talent was too defying, which was not a big blow for a genius. However, he can only work harder. Strange has never been one to admit defeat, and because of this, Strange is now working harder and has a lower profile. Now, when it comes to being polite, it is no worse than those smooth people. Strange didn't maintain it before, he just felt it was unnecessary. Okay, don't do that, Mordo said with a smile. Today we will teach you new magic. Scarlet chains, Mordo said in a serious tone. Scarlet chains are a relatively versatile magic. Mordo began to explain the use of the scarlet chain magic. Attack, restraint, defense, all can be done. So most mages will also learn this magic. I'll teach you this magic today. Strange listened to Mordo's explanation very seriously, and the expression on his face was very serious. But Strange, I also want to remind you that Saitoras is not a generous god. His power is not so easy to borrow. You just started to learn this magic, so what you have to do is to stabilize the scarlet chain first, don't change it blindly. If there are too many changes in the scarlet chain, it is easy to cause problems. Mordo warned Strange carefully. I see. Strange nodded. Mordo nodded, then said, I'll teach you specific magic spells first. As Mordo explained the magic spell, Wang Yang keenly saw that there was a magical breath on Mordo's body connected to the void, and he didn't know where the end point was. When he studied with Mordo before, he didn't notice this change. Everything seems to have started when he absorbed the talent of the Supreme Mage after the New York War. The Supreme Mage absorbs the power of the Dark Latitude. Other mages don't know this, but he does. Perhaps the Supreme Mage has made his system's detection more powerful. Just when he thought so, the system prompt sounded. Ding, detected the magic talent of Saitoras, is it fusion? Hearing this sound, Wang Yang couldn't help being secretly shocked. Last time he was studying the Wind of Watam, it was the same, he didn't care at first. Only now did he understand that this system directly detected the source of magic, but unfortunately, only through Mordo's explanation, he could only integrate Saidora's Scarlet Chain magic talent. For ordinary people, this is already a bit incredible. Fusion. With the fusion, he has a different perception of how the Scarlet Chains feel. And Mordo naturally didn't notice Wang Yang's change, and continued to teach Strange. That's all the Scarlet Chains need. It's the application of spiritual power and divine power. Next, Strange, give it a try. After Mordo finished speaking, he demonstrated it, and then gave Strange an encouraging look. Strange nodded. He took a deep breath, then began to move his hands, and red sparks began to appear. Pooh! Then these flames disappeared in an instant. Strange tried again and again, but still failed. Although Strange has been beaten many times these days, this feeling of not being able to succeed immediately still makes him quite frustrated. No, it's hard for me to concentrate. I can't control the Scarlet Chains. It's okay, take your time. I'll ask Wang Yang to show you again. Mordo said with a smile. For him, Strange's learning speed is already very fast. Although it is slower than Wang Yang, it is not bad. Wang Yang, show him the Scarlet Chain. Wang Yang nodded, then his hands joined together, a scarlet flame condensed, and then these sparks gradually became a chain. However, what was different from what he did at the beginning was that at this time, the Scarlet Chain was strangely exuding a rich and complex aura. It seems to be filled with countless breaths. And in an instant, this Scarlet Chain surrounded them, as if they were completely mastered by Wang Yang. Mordo and Strange had their eyes fixed. When Strange saw this scene, he felt incomparable envy and blow in his heart. When he used it himself, he couldn't do it at all. And Mordo couldn't help but smile. Wang Yang's proficiency in controlling magic, as well as such a powerful manipulation, completely surpassed him, leaving him somewhat unmatched. But this obviously shouldn't happen. His and Wang Yang's magic is like a firefly and a bright moon, his Scarlet Chain is like a small snake, and Wang Yang's magic is like a giant dragon. Wang Yang couldn't help but feel helpless at this time. He also didn't want to play like this. After absorbing the talents of the gods, his Scarlet Chains were more than 10 times stronger than before. He just wanted to use it a little bit, but it turned out to be so powerful. And it seems to have life. Strange looked at the huge Scarlet Chain surrounding them, and said with emotion, Mage Mordo, is this normal? Can the Scarlet Chain still be controlled like this? Although Wang Yang is no longer an apprentice, this is too outrageous. Although Strange would be hit every time, this time he was hit especially powerfully. Mordo couldn't help being shocked, and even more helpless in his heart. It felt like Wang Yang didn't want him to teach Strange well. It seems that every time he is asked to cast magic, he will do something so special. However, he was an archmage after all, and naturally he didn't want to appear so ignorant and shocking in front of Strange. Strange, there is a difference between a novice and an advanced mage. It's like the difference between an intern and an expert when you study medicine. You're just starting to learn now, so naturally you can't rush it. At this moment, Mordo spoke earnestly, like a good teacher. I see, I understand, Master Mordo. After Strange heard Mordo's words, he couldn't help but suddenly realize. Mordo couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. He was fooled. Being a teacher is not easy, and being a teacher in front of Wang Yang is even more difficult. Does Wang Yang have to be so powerful? Can't you take it easy? Is it fitting that your Scarlet Chains contain so much the breath of Satoras? Is Saidolas so good at talking now? Isn't he the most domineering god? Could the gods treat them differently? Looking at the Scarlet Chain in Wang Yang's hand, it was extremely huge, and it would split, just like a 9-headed dragon. Looking at it, Mordo's head was buzzing. If Strange wasn't here, he would have wanted to ask carefully how Wang Yang did it. This is too perverted. Boom. Countless Scarlet Chains disappeared. Wang Yang breathed a sigh of relief. He finally got it under control. In the magic that incorporates the power of gods, the control difficulty is also much more difficult. I finally got it. Mordo breathed a sigh of relief when he saw that Wang Yang had finally taken away the magic. Master Mordo, I learned it. At this moment, Strange also heard an extremely excited voice. Both Wang Yang and Mordo looked over, and sure enough, Strange already had a Scarlet Chain in his hand. Bang! The flames roared. Strange flicked the scarlet chain in his hand, and a target in the distance roared directly. Master Mordo, how is my magic? Strange was a little excited. He finally mastered the scarlet chain. After seeing Wang Yang's performance, he was extremely excited. Moro also showed an embarrassed smile on his face and said, not bad. But he couldn't help feeling emotional. Is this the power that a person who has just learned about scarlet chains can display? Simply unreasonable. There are only 3 of them in the training ground, and it seems that he is the only one with the worst talent. Before, he thought he was a genius. But now it seems that he is really nothing. Looking at the 2 in front of him, he could only smile. Very good, Strange, you have mastered the scarlet chain. The power of the scarlet chain is so powerful that it is not a last resort, so don't use it casually. Mordo looked at Strange very seriously. Strange also nodded solemnly and said, don't worry, Mage Mordo, I understand. Very good. Since you have learned attack magic, you should also learn another magic. That's the mirror space. When you practice magic in the future, you must practice it in the mirror space, where it won't cause any consequences in your eyes, and it won't endanger others. Modu said, and glanced at Wang Yang. Obviously, he was talking about Wang Yang's destruction of the library that day. Wang Yang could only show an awkward smile. Mage Mordo, what is the mirror space? You can understand it as another latitude. A space completely manipulated by mages. It is a reflection of real space, but everything in it is different from real space and cannot be interfered with. Mordo explained to Strange carefully. In the mirror space, you can do everything you can't do in reality. That said, it will definitely make you a little confused, so come in and see for yourself. As Modu said, he didn't let Wang Yang perform anymore, for fear that this Wang Yang would come up with some tricks. As he said that, he raised his hand and waved, and the sound in the space in front of him sounded like glass shattering. Kacha kacha. Then the space in front of them was like shattered glass shards. With Mordo's palm as the center, the cracks scattered like a kaleidoscope. But this scene looked extremely dazzling. This is really amazing. Strange saw this scene, his eyes widened, and he couldn't help touching it. He found that his hand actually penetrated without any hindrance. It's incredible, is this magic? Strange's eyes widened. Magic is to explore the essence of this world. This is just one of them. Let's go, let's get into it. Mordo said and walked directly into it. Strange followed, and Wang Yang was the last to enter. After entering the mirror space, it was still a training ground, and Mordo's voice sounded at this time. Strange, you have to remember that the mirror space is dangerous. The only way to get out of here is through the portal, so remember. Otherwise you may be trapped in the mirror space forever. Hearing this, Strange nodded cautiously. Modu nodded and continued. You can only control the mirror space. Here, you can change everything. In other people's mirror space, even if you are powerful, you can't change anything, only the master allow you to change. You can't control everything without the consent of others. When fighting against others, you must be careful not to easily enter other people's spaces. Mordo reminded again. Wang Yang, try it out and show Strange that you can't control everything in someone else's space. Modu is still very confident about this. Although Wang Yang has a strong talent, he must not be able to do it. Master, do you really let me try? Wang Yang glanced at Modu and said strangely. Maybe he really couldn't do it before, but after absorbing Ji Yuyi's talent, he has a deeper understanding of magic. In other people's space, it may not be easy to reverse and control everything in other people's space, but under absolute power, other people's space can also be strongly controlled. Try it, give Strange a demonstration, and let him understand the danger of entering other people's space. Mordo said with certainty. He is very confident. With Wang Yang's strength, he will definitely not be able to change everything in his mirror space. This confidence comes from his perception of magic for so many years. Even a person with a powerful talent like Wang Yang can't be changed. Wang Yang nodded. Since Modu had already said so, he could only try it. Don't wait for him to do anything. The surrounding space began to undergo drastic changes. The surrounding ground, Kamataja's buildings, became like building blocks, and began to undergo dramatic changes. For a while, it began to turn around. When Strange saw this scene, he was instantly dumbfounded, and seemed to have lost his ability to think. Mage Mordo, What did you just say? Didn't you say you can't control other people's mirror space? At this time, Moro was extremely shocked and horrified, and even the three views he originally believed in collapsed. Obviously, the Supreme Master also told him that others should not be able to easily control other people's space. Just now, how does he feel that his sense of control over his own mirror space is disappearing? It's as if someone else entered his mirror space, but he entered someone else's mirror space. This is simply incredible. Mordo glanced at Strange, but the shock in his heart did not show. After all, in front of an apprentice, wouldn't he lose face? Cough, just the permission I gave him just now, you have to understand that you can't easily control other people's mirror space. Moro coughed dryly to cover up the depression in his heart. Wang Yang keeps distorting the space in the mirror space. But at this time, outside the mirror space, a figure walked slowly. Her expression was calm, and she was very indifferent when walking in the courtyard. It is the Supreme Mage. This time, she came here to see Mordo and Wang Yang, and to teach Strange how it was. But just as she approached, she felt something. Others may not be able to see the lens-like space, but Ji Yuyi, who is an absolute powerhouse, can perceive it. Is it a mirror space? Ji Yuyi smiled slightly. The originally dull eyes suddenly became deep. In her eyes, everything in front of her seemed to have changed dramatically. Multiple space fusion, excellent spiritual control, is not something that ordinary mages can do. At this time, she was seeing the changes in the mirror space. Even Ji Yuyi was a little incredible. She had never seen this kind of change in mirror space, even if it was cast in mirror space by any of Kamataj's archmage. And this level, even with her, is almost the same. Mordo doesn't have this ability. Strange has only entered Karmatage not long ago, and it's even more impossible. It seems that I still underestimate Wang Yang. This child is really surprising. Ji Yuyi said with emotion. Even at Wang Yang's age, I'm afraid she wouldn't be able to grasp this level. She knew that for this level of control, she needed a deep understanding of space, but she didn't know how Wang Yang did it. To be able to control the space so easily. Ji Yuyi raised his hand and waved. A crack appeared in the space in front of him, and everything inside was displayed in front of Ji Yuyi. Ji Yuyi could see that Wang Yang was controlling everything in the mirror space, while Mordo and Strange were watching this scene. And this mirror space, which is said to be impossible to be easily broken by people, was torn apart so easily. It can be seen that Ji Yuyi just did it casually. In the silence, Ji Yuyi did not enter and interrupt the three, but turned and left. It's as if this mirror space has not detected the arrival of a fourth person. Ding, detected the magic mirror space talent fragment. Is it fusion? With the sound of the system prompt, Wang Yang was still somewhat inexplicable. It's a surprise, you can actually sense any talent fragments. However, Wang Yang naturally wouldn't waste it. Fusion. With the fusion, Wang Yang has a deeper understanding of the mirror space, as if he can destroy the mirror space from the outside. Although he learned about the mirror space, the mages told him that the mirror space cannot be broken from the outside. However, he did not intend to try, but gave Strange a temporary mirror of the changes in space. All kinds of buildings change in his hands, as if everything is under Wang Yang's control. When Mordo saw this scene, he narrowed his eyes and said, Strange, see it, this is the role of the mirror space. Although the mirror space was only used as a surveillance magic at first, but after the transformation of the Supreme Master, the current mirror space has multiple uses. Bound attack, turn the battlefield into your home, whether it is against the enemy or other, you have an absolute advantage. Hearing Mordo's words, Strange nodded. Looks like you already understand this. Mordo went on to say, come and try it too. After Wang Yang stopped to demonstrate, he felt that the controller of the mirror space was back in his hands. This kind of feeling is simply depressing. It seems that it is my own thing, but it seems to be someone else's thing. Even though it's back in his hands now, he still can't change this depressed feeling. But in front of the apprentice Strange, he naturally wouldn't say it. You are now in my mirror space, which is easier to control than in your own space. You can try. Strange took a deep breath, nodded and said, yes, Mage Mordo. Strange nodded. Having said that, he raised his hands and began to control. After Mordo released the control and allowed Strange to control it, with Strange's power, he could also control part of it. Compared with creating a space by yourself, then controlling it naturally consumes a lot less and is easier to control. You only need to be able to control the mental power and the power to control the space. Of course, this is not so easy to control. The power of space is, after all, a high-level power. If it weren't for the fact that people who study magic basically have strong mental power, otherwise it is impossible to easily control and master the power of space. Strange tried to control and concentrate his mental power. With his hands waving, he concentrated his mental energy, trying his best to reverse the things or buildings he controlled. However, no matter how hard he tried, even if his forehead was sweating and working hard, the building he wanted to change did not change. After a while, he couldn't help being a little discouraged. Obviously, Strange still needs training to master it. Master Modu, I think it's very difficult to control. Can you really be like Master Wang Yang? Strange looked at Wang Yang's simplicity, which seemed to be easy, but he felt that this space was like a big mountain, and he couldn't breathe, let alone control it. And Wang Yang's control just now, not only the ground, but also the sky, the surrounding buildings, as if the whole world is changing. This difference is not small. A smile appeared on Mordo's face. Wang Yang manipulated the surrounding space just now, which shocked him. He still deliberately didn't let Wang Yang control, but the other party didn't have any restrictions at all, and even seemed to have taken his control away. Fortunately, Strange is more normal, and he can't control it right away. This kept him from losing his face in the Archmage. If Strange could easily control it, he would have lived on a dog for so many years. Of course, Wang Yang is different. Wang Yang is in control of everything. If this was in the hands of an ordinary mage, it would be impossible for this kind of thing to happen. Even the first person known as the Supreme Mage, Cassius. He also couldn't reach such a level in controlling the mirror space. Like it can reach such a level, in Kamatage, it is estimated that only the Supreme Master can do it. Although Modu had already known Wang Yang's power before today, but seeing Wang Yang's control of the mirror space today, he realized that he still underestimated Wang Yang. This kid is a monster. But after such a long time, he has somewhat gotten used to it. It's normal for such a guy to behave so well. If Wang Yang really behaved normally that day, he would probably doubt whether Wang Yang was ill. Strange, you don't need to be discouraged. Any mastery of magic is a gradual process. Naturally, you can't exert a strong power at the beginning. You need to master it slowly. Mordo said comfortingly. In fact, he felt that even if Strange controlled it, he would not be able to exert such a powerful power. But in order to comfort Strange, so that he won't be able to study magic hard so that he won't be completely beaten. Yes, Strange, magic just needs to be mastered slowly, and the magic of mirror space is not too difficult. You just need to master it slowly, and sooner or later you can reach this level. Wang Yang said, raising his hands. In an instant, the entire mirrored space seemed to have undergone earth-shaking changes, and the surrounding buildings seemed to come alive. Countless buildings rise from the ground, spin and twist. It's like a live superstar monster. Looking at this scene, Strange looked at the trees in front of him, and his heart was complicated. He couldn't even shake a small tree. Can such a big change in front of him be done by one person? He can be considered to have mastered a lot of magic these days, and in Kamatage, he is considered a relatively powerful mage. He is not weak now. However, even so, he can't even shake a small tree on the ground now. On the other hand, Wang Yang can control the whole world, which is simply a huge gap. Originally, he thought it was impossible to manipulate like this, but after seeing the expression of Mage Mordo, he also felt that it didn't seem so impossible. Is it really easy to control everything in the mirror space? It's just that your talent is not high. Strange was hit hard. Even self-doubt arises. Seeing Strange's expression, Wang Yang showed a smile on his face and said, "Don't be discouraged, Strange, mastering magic cannot be easily accomplished, you just need to practice slowly. I'll show you again." As Wang Yang said, everything in the mirror space changed again. But this time it's just a small change. The building rolled in a small area. Compared with large-scale and small-scale changes, it actually requires more mental power. If it weren't for the fusion of the talent fragments just now, he would not be able to achieve such fine control. Now what he needs is a thought, and the space can change. Strange looked even more horrified. It's unbelievable to see such a finely controlled architecture. Even Mordo was horrified. As the saying goes, laymen watch the fun, and experts watch the doorway. Strange thought it was incredible, while Mordo thought Wang Yang's more difficult control. The fine control has probably reached the level of a supreme mage. This is simply incredible. How long did Wang Yangkai study? And he felt that every time Wang Yang could shock and surprise him. The key is to be more powerful every time. This is the most defying sky. Strange is not one to give up easily. There is no reason why Strange can become the heir to the supreme mage. Reading. It can be said that he is very powerful in every magic learning talent, even better than the supreme mage. It is precisely because of this that he appeared not long ago, and Strange has already mastered so much magic, and even replaced the supreme mage. With Wang Yang's encouragement, he was able to control things in the mirror space very quickly. Not only that, but Strange also began to learn how to create mirror spaces. Strange is very talented. Although he will be hit, he will work harder. This may be the reason why he has achieved such success in the medical field. Now he is also destined to achieve great success in the field of magic. A few days passed in the blink of an eye. Strange has completely mastered the mirror space, although he can't control everything in the space as easily as Wang Yang can do anything. However, it can be regarded as reaching the level of an ordinary mage. Even because of Wang Yang's encouragement, Strange kept improving his mastery of mirror space. To a certain extent, the mirror space that Mordo masters now is not as proficient as Strange mastered. Wang Yang is also very satisfied with Strange's progress, and he is more attentive in teaching. Strange, how long have you been here at Kamatage? Mordo looked at Strange and felt the magic wave in him. It's been a full month since I came to Kamatage. Strange said. Very good, today is a special day. What special day? It's a special day for you to be promoted from apprentice to mage. Mordo added. As long as you can pass the test. Hearing Mordo's words, Strange couldn't help but stunned. What competition? Mage Mordo. He has been in Kamatage for a month, and he has almost learned the magic that he should learn, but he still does not think how powerful he is, especially every time he sees the magic that Wang Yang casts. It is simply incredible. So he felt that it was impossible for him to become a real mage. But didn't expect to have a test today. Can be promoted to become a real mage. Of course it's a test to see if you can become a real mage. Mordo's voice became a little indifferent and continued. Strange, you must understand that our Kamatage is not an academy, but a fighting place to train guardians. Since you chose to stay, even an academic mage needs to be able to fight. What? Strange was a little confused, but he didn't think that after learning magic, he still needed to fight. As someone who has lived in peacetime for so many years, he never imagined that the world still needs to fight. This was somewhat beyond his expectations. Under the leadership of Mordo, they entered the mirror space directly. This is the mirror space where several archmages of Kamatage are cohesive. At this moment, the space has become a place like a stadium. There were some mages around, and there were several archmages standing on the high platform. On the central plane, there are quite a few arenas, and this is the competition for Kamatage's mages. It is a relatively rare event for Kamatage. Of course, Kamatage is not a very competitive place. Therefore, it is never difficult for an apprentice to become a mage. All you need to do is fight with the teacher you teach and get recognition. So this kind of competition pays more attention to the sense of ritual. Then there is a platform for the mages to communicate with each other. Even many mages stationed outside will come back at this time and learn from each other. Occasionally, some archmages will also come off the field to discuss in person, which is a very normal thing for Kamatage. By the time Wang Yang and the others arrived here, the competition had already begun. Many mages have already started captaining with the apprentices they teach. Many mages watched these battles and commented on them. Look, that's Wei Wei. He is extremely talented. He has a very strong ability to learn magic, and his fighting talent is not bad at all. I heard that he has mastered the basic magic and magic rune structure in less than 5 months. What is that? I know an apprentice named Jesse Cornwall. He has an excellent fighting talent and has his own way of using magic. Even I can't stand it for a while. I don't know if there will be a heaven-defying mage. I hope the Archmage will also take action this time, so that I can learn. Quote. Various voices rang out in the stands, and Mordo first walked up to the high platform and had a chat with several Archmages. Modu, I heard that your apprentice this time is a bit difficult. An Archmage said with some emotion. In the past, Wang Yang was in the front, and then there was a genius. Could it be that they want to carry forward Kamatage? It's all just rumors. Mordo couldn't help but smile and wave his hand. Mordu, why did you do such a trick? You think we don't know? Your apprentice is the supreme mage. Several Archmages said with a smile, but Modu just smiled and did not speak. Just when Mordo was discussing with the Archmage, a system prompt sounded in Wang Yang's ear. Ding, detected the magic Ragador's ring talent fragment, is it fusion? Ding, detected the fragments of the magic rune infrastructure, are they fused? Ding, detected fragments of combat talent, are they fused? Quote. These beeps sounded one after another. Wang Yang's face couldn't help showing surprise, and he did not hesitate to merge. After discussing with a few Archmages, Mordo determined that there was no problem, and then came to Wang Yang and Strange. Let's go, Strange, let me verify what you've learned during this time. A smile appeared on Mordo's face. And Strange was a little frustrated at this time, obviously he didn't have much confidence in fighting. Wang Yang looked at Strange and smiled and said, Strange, don't worry, this is just a test, you can do it, don't worry. Hearing Wang Yang's encouragement, Strange nodded solemnly and said gratefully, Thank you, Master Wang Yang. Having said that, Strange followed the silent reading and walked into a ring. In front of him stood Mordo. Strange, as a mage of Kamatage, the first thing you have to learn is martial arts. Mordo continued, so, let me see how your fighting skills are. Mordo stood opposite Strange, quite a master. Strange nodded. I understand. Okay, then come on, you attack first. Mordo looked at Strange and said offended, Master. Quote. Strange said something and quickly entered the state. As soon as he took a step, he rushed forward, with a very fast speed, and at the same time with a magic bonus. However, Wang Yang didn't care when he watched this action, and the sound of the prompt sounded in his ear, integrating his talents at any time. For him, this is simply the best place for him to improve his talent. However, the talents of the mages here are not very strong. If there is a big magist who steps down to compete, one can win dozens of them. For example, Ji Yuyi even made him mutate magically, and even gave him access to the talents of gods. As for Strange's performance, Wang Yang only felt that it was unsatisfactory, not too strong. But for the mages in the stands, Strange's performance was even amazing. It can almost be said that he has attracted a lot of mages' attention. Wow, look, Master Mordo's apprentice, Strange, has already gained such a powerful strength in a short period of time, and he is indeed taught by Mordo. You may not know Wang Yang, another disciple of Archmage Mordu, who is a monster, but I haven't heard any news about him recently. I also know that Master Wang Yang played a decisive factor on the battlefield at the beginning. I heard that the one who has been practicing asceticism may have been taught by the Supreme Master. Master Mordo's teaching level is already at the forefront of our Kamatage, and this Strange is also a genius. I heard that he has only been practicing for a month. This fighting level already has the level of a senior mage. Quote. Many mages applauded. On the stage, Mordo and Strange fought back and forth. The magic light shines continuously. Even the Archmages couldn't help whispering when they watched this scene. Looking at Strange's move, this promotion is not a big problem. With this speed and responsiveness, this guy has already cast several kinds of magic. I don't know how much magic he has learned. Modu is lucky, he can always find good students. But Modu will be miserable. I think he is going to be beaten by his own students. It would be a tragedy. A great master was beaten by his own disciples. I think this kid Strange is very ruthless, maybe he can really teach Mordo a lesson. These Archmages were gloating on the top, but Wang Yang nodded slightly as he watched the two people fighting in the ring. If Strange's fighting skills are compared to ordinary mages, his fighting skills are not bad. The attack is very fierce, and every move has a strong magical atmosphere. Although Mordo has many years of experience. However, Strange also occupied the mountain for a while, and he was beaten and retreated again and again. Bang bang bang. Mordo raised his hand to block, and the magic shield condensed in an instant. Strange's attack landed on the magic shield and made a muffled sound. Mordo kept dodging, and his footsteps were quite well organized. Of course, it seems that Mordo has been dodging all the time, but in fact he just wanted to test Strange's strength. That's why they keep defending instead of attacking. Strange, you have practiced your fighting skills very well, so I won't let it go. Having said that, Mage Mordo also stopped passive defense and started to counterattack. With a punch, the magic rune was constructed on the fist, condensing a pair of gloves. Bang! They collided with Strange's fists, making a muffled sound, and a powerful storm scattered in all directions, and then the two continued to entangle with each other, all kinds of muffled noises. The two of them could be said to be evenly matched, but they were evenly matched for a while. The surrounding mages were also very excited. Strange is so powerful, but in just over a month, he has already practiced his martial arts to such an extent. Is Master Mordo's teaching level already so good? Strange is really not easy. Even if he is a genius, it is not easy to be on par with Archmage Mordo. That's right, incredible, incredible, this kind of power and speed, it's hard to imagine that this is just an apprentice. Quote. The surrounding mages talked a lot, and it was hard to imagine that Strange was just an apprentice. Listening to the discussions of these mages, Wang Yang couldn't help shaking his head. And with Mordo's shot, he finally integrated a lot of Mordo's magic talent and fighting talent. After a while, the battle between Mordo and Strange has reached a white-hot stage. Although most of the attacks were punches and kicks, the fluctuations were not weak at all. Coupled with the assistance of magic, it is also very ornamental. However, Mordo is an archmage after all. With so many years of actual combat experience, he is naturally much stronger than Strange. I saw that Mordo blocked Strange's attack with a ring of Ragador, and then he twisted his body and reached behind Strange. With a slap of his palm, Strange stumbled forward, almost staggering forward, fell to the ground. Okay, Strange, let's stop here, your strength is already very good, although your experience is still a little less. But you have to remember that if it was an actual battle just now, you might have died with the blow just now. So you have to remember that as a mage, it is very important to protect yourself. Mordo warned very cautiously. I understand, Mage Mordo. Okay. The fighting is almost over, let me see how your magic practice is. Although magic was added to the battle just now, most of them are just the basic structure of magic runes, and they did not use more powerful magic as an attack. Since it's a place like this, it's natural to give it a try. Okay, offended. Strange nodded. Scarlet chains. In an instant, a scarlet chain appeared in his hand. Like a whip, it shot in an instant. The scarlet chain swung out and went straight to Mordo. Mordo shook his palm, and a magic shield appeared in his hand. Bang! The red scarlet chain and the shield collided, and red sparks scattered. The two kept fighting, and the ring began to shatter, and countless stone fragments flew up. During the battle between the two, the mage next to him couldn't help but get excited. Scarlet chains, isn't that higher magic? None of my senior mages have yet learned this kind of magic. How could Strange, an apprentice, learn this kind of magic? What a terrifying power, as expected of high-level magic. This Strange is really a genius, but in a month, he can actually learn this level of magic. It's unbelievable, I still don't know how to do magic of this level. Quote. At this time, the mages couldn't help but whisper, and the expressions on Yu reading became very exciting. In the ring, the two were also constantly fighting, all kinds of magic collided, and the light shone uncertainly. The magical rays of light collided violently. Yes, Strange, you have a good grasp of magic, but it's not enough to defeat me. Mordo was very satisfied. At this time, he had a shield and a chain, and he dealt with Strange's magic very calmly. However, Mordo was secretly surprised by Strange's progress. After all, if he was given such a little time, he would not be able to do it at all. The sacred sword of Emperor Weixin. Strange was no longer polite, and used the magic he learned not long ago. This is the most powerful attack magic. With the appearance of the holy sword of Waishandi, everyone in the audience could not help but take a breath. That is, the sacred sword of Emperor Waishan. Impossible, how could an apprentice master this level of magic? Could Strange become our Kamataja's hope? Emperor Waishan's sacred sword, not even an archmage knows it. Quote. After Strange performed such magic, some mages exclaimed and shocked from time to time, and even had incredible expressions on their faces. This time, even those archmages couldn't hide their shock after seeing this scene. Strange, he is indeed a genius. And Wang Yang, who was in the crowd, watched this scene with enjoyment. Ding, detected the magic fragment of the magic Waishandi sacred sword, is it fusion? In the ring, Mordo and Strange were fighting fiercely. No less than a battle between archmage. There is a red Ragador ring on Mordo's fist, which constantly resists the attack of Waishandi's sacred sword. The flame-condensed Waishandi's sacred sword and the red Ragador's ring constantly collide. The sparks of magic kept exploding. The arena has long since become devastated, and it looks full of potholes. Although Mordo seems to be still calm, the pressure in his heart is also increasing. Although Strange has only been practicing magic for a month, the damage in terms of strength is much stronger than his. The power of the superposition of various magics is not small. Fortunately, he has a lot of combat experience, and all kinds of magic in his hands are properly coordinated. In the end, Mordo also used the moment of Strange's distraction to directly use the scarlet chain to bind the opponent. Then he stood with his hands tied, looking like a peerless master. Then he said in a teaching tone, "Strange, you still have to work hard, you are still too young now." "Yes, thank you Master Mordo for your advice." Strange was also convinced. After Mordo heard Strange's words, he could not help but breathe a sigh of relief. Strange became a trainee mage very smoothly. If it wasn't for the troublesome promotion of rank, Strange was completely qualified to become a senior mage. "Okay, Strange, from today onwards, you are a trainee mage. However, don't be proud, you still need to work hard in the future," Mordo said to Strange with a smile. "I understand, Mage Mordo." Strange nodded respectfully, then walked down. But although Strange went down, Mordo didn't. Instead, he looked at Wang Yang who was standing on the side and said, "Wang Yang, do you want to come up and discuss with me?" He had seen Wang Yang's strength in that battle, but he had never formally fought against Wang Yang. It was just a chance to take this opportunity to see Wang Yang's strength. Wang Yang was noncommittal and walked onto the ring with a smile. "Master Mordo, please show mercy." Wang Yang spoke in a low-key manner. "Show mercy? Maybe don't show mercy to me." Mordo smiled and shook his head and said, "Okay, let's learn about fighting skills." After Mordo rested for a while, he had recovered some physical strength. "Okay, Master Mordo, please enlighten me." Speaking of which, Wang Yang rushed towards Mordo, and as he stepped on his feet hard, a pothole appeared directly on the tired stage. With this power, he instantly appeared in front of Mordo, and then punched him. With a punch, the magical infrastructure wraps the palm of the hand, exuding a powerful force. This fist is powerful and heavy, with an irresistible power. Mordo even felt a heavy wind on his face. Mordo's complexion changed, and he blocked with both hands. A shield appeared on his elbow. Bang! With sparks flying, Mordo stepped back a few steps. Seeing this scene, the surrounding mages couldn't help but fall into shock. Is this Master Wang Yang? It's so powerful, it's unbelievable that Master Mordo has fallen into a disadvantage in the fight. This power is too powerful. Is this really just a mage? It's unbelievable that you have practiced martial arts to such an extent. Quote. Although fighting skills were extremely important to their mages, they were only mages after all, so most of them didn't work so hard to practice fighting skills. After all, if they have time to fight, they all try to practice magic. At this time, the mages in the stands were talking a lot, and Mordo was also shocked. "Good boy, he is so powerful even in martial arts." Mordo laughed and scolded. He somewhat regretted inviting Wang Yang to fight. He also thought that Wang Yang was extremely terrifying in magic, and that he could rely on his experience to fight Wang Yang. However, in the face of so many people, Mordo remained calm. Then he said, come again. Wang Yang could only show a shy smile and rushed up again. Moro took a deep breath, and then began to deal with it heavily. Bang bang bang. The sound of punching and kicking sounded, and under Wang Yang's fierce offensive, Modu was basically defending, and basically there was no way to fight back. It can be said that he was pressed and beaten by Wang Yang. The mages who saw this scene couldn't help but talk about it. Mage Mordo, he was beaten and could not fight back. Yeah, this is really terrifying. I feel that if it were me, I might not be able to resist with a single punch. It turns out that just by relying on simple fighting skills, you can burst into great power. I thought the most powerful mage should be magic. How can this fighting technique be so powerful? Quote. Countless voices of noisy discussions sounded. The eyes of the mages in the entire mirror space seemed to shift at this moment. After all, it is unbelievable that an archmage like Mordo was beaten so hard that he could not fight back. You can imagine how terrifying Wang Yang's strength is. Ding, detected the fragments of martial arts talent, are they fused? The system prompt sounded again in Wang Yang's ears. And the shard seems to have fallen from Mordo. Integrate the talent of the opponent, so that the opponent has nowhere to go. The corner of Wang Yang's mouth couldn't help showing a smile. Fusion. With the fusion of fragments again he could feel that his power was constantly growing, and he had a lot more fighting skills in his mind. At this time, Mordo could also feel that his pressure was doubled. The pressure was not small at first, but now, the pressure is even greater. Even resisting Wang Yang's attack was not easy. Even his bones began to ache. Mordo is very puzzled. This is obviously just a martial art, and it is the most basic thing of Kamatage. It's no different from normal fighting skills. It is not easy to improve. It requires long-term combat experience, so that your muscles have memory, and your muscles will automatically respond to any attack. However, now he is being beaten by someone who has not experienced much fighting. And after fighting for such a long time, he was actually unable to fight back. I knew earlier that I shouldn't pretend to be a hero, and let Wang Yang take the shot first. Anyway, there is a chance to have a fair fight with Wang Yang. Well now, I can't turn over at all. And Wang Yang's power seems to be constantly improving. Simply incredible. Bang! There was another muffled sound, and Mordo took a few steps back. He quickly rubbed his hands and grinned. Just when he saw Wang Yang rushing up again, Modu quickly raised his hands. I admit defeat. Did you start practicing fighting from your mother's womb? Chapter 71. If he continues to fight, it is estimated that he will lose miserably. Mordo conceded defeat without hesitation. Hearing Modu's words, Wang Yang stopped, cupped his hands at Modu, and then smiled shyly. Archmage, you are wrong, I'm just a Chinese man. Modu smiled wryly, then shook his head and said, okay, it's just you kid, you'll pay for it. Master, in addition to learning about fighting skills, we can also learn about magic. We are mages after all, and fighting skills are not our main means. Wang Yang turned around and said with a smile, how could Wang Yang miss an opportunity to gain magical talent? As an archmage, Modu, others have said so, is he embarrassed to refuse? However, he still corrected, it's not a discussion, it's an exchange. Do I still know about your kid's magic? Although he is an archmage, he has mastered a lot of magic, and his power is also very powerful. It should be able to last for a while. At least it shouldn't be as miserable as in a fight and be beaten all of a sudden. However, I was a little flustered in my heart. After all, facing a guy like Wang Yang, the pressure is really not that big. Master Mordo, please enlighten me. Wang Yang cupped his hands. Mordo nodded indifferently. Without waiting for Mordo to make a move, Wang Yang made another quick move. Crimson Chains. As the magic spell was exported, the 5 scarlet chains went straight to Mordo. The pupils in Mordo's eyes shrank violently, with a solemn expression on his face. He held a fist in his hand, and the rings of Ragador appeared in his hands. It's just that the 5 chains in Wang Yang's hands seemed to be alive, entwining them directly towards Modu. The red chain strangled directly like a snake. Stab it. A sound of metal rubbing sounded. After seeing this scene, the mage in this scene couldn't help but be shocked. Impossible, the scarlet chain can still be used like this. The scarlet chain is so rigid that the ring of Ragador is almost crushed and crushed. And his scarlet chains are too powerful. Quote. At this time, these mages couldn't help but start talking, and it was a little incredible to see the scarlet chain in Wang Yang's hand. In their opinion, there should be no such possibility at all that someone could use this kind of magic. If it weren't for this magic appearing in front of them now, they might not believe it. But this was enough to shock and move them. Even a few archmages couldn't help being stunned. Although the scarlet chain can seal and trap the opponent, it was like a blade just now. I seem to feel that Wang Yang's scarlet chain contains a powerful divine power. Controlling such a powerful force, this kid is incredible. Quote. The voices of various discussions sounded, and even the archmages, after seeing the scene just now, made their three views somewhat subverted. And this one-handed operation is even more complicated. At this moment, he was even more focused and did not dare to be distracted in the slightest. He felt that if he was a little distracted, he would be injured. Compared to the last time I saw Wang Yang's magic, it seems to have improved. Can this guy's magic power be infinitely improved? Mordo's heart is extremely complicated. It's not that he has never seen powerful magic. But most magic has a limit, and no one can improve the power of magic forever. However, Wang Yang's magic seems to increase his power every moment. At this time, he could only use the red shields in both hands, and then danced. The dance was airtight, trying to resist Wang Yang's scarlet chains. Master Mordo, thanks to you, I couldn't break through your defense. Wang Yang sighed secretly. He felt that his magic was not too powerful, otherwise, he would not be able to break through Mordo's defense. When Mordo heard this, he couldn't help but get nervous. Is this kid planning to use other magic? The meaning is enough. Are you planning to play for real here? What if he really lost? What a shame. Just then a storm hit. Although the magic has not yet formed, but after feeling this power, I already knew it from Mordo's experience. It is clearly the wind of Vatum. This made Mordo slightly relieved, and the expression on his face could not help softening. This Wang Yang is still giving him some face, or giving him face. Wind of Vatum is nothing more than an auxiliary magic. Wind of Vatum. Sure enough, Wang Yang gave a low voice. Hearing Wang Yang's words, Modu breathed a sigh of relief. Sure enough, as he had guessed, it was this magic. Since you use this magic, I also use this magic. Watch me suppress your Vatum wind. The wind of Vatum was not taught by him. In his opinion, Wang Yang should have learned it by himself. Such power is definitely not comparable to the magic he taught. In this way, he may really be able to suppress. Boom. A huge storm was generated when Wang Yang raised his hand and waved. Compared with the wind of Vatum that Mordu casts, it is many times larger. Seeing this scene, Modu's expression froze involuntarily, and the hairs on his back stood up too. The cold sweat even flowed down. Directly wet the clothes behind him. Boom. His wind of Vatum was swallowed directly. A sense of terror arises spontaneously. Isn't the wind of Vatum just a support spell? How can it be so powerful? He even had a feeling that if it weren't for the limitations of the arena, this Wang Yang might directly destroy this mirror space. Suddenly Mordo remembered that someone had destroyed the library for a while. Wasn't it such a powerful storm? Could it be the library that Wang Yang destroyed? Modu couldn't help being shocked at this moment. He never thought that Wang Yang would be so powerful. How can this magic be dealt with? How to contend? If it wasn't for so many people watching now, I'm afraid he would have fallen to his knees in fright. This is a life and death crisis. Under this terrifying power of destruction, he couldn't even speak. Mordo's heart was full of despair. Could he be beaten to death by a magic in the ring today? At this time, the mages who were watching the magic could not help but open their mouths in shock. They felt that their breathing was too fast. This is actually the wind of Vatum. You are clearly lying to me. Even if the Supreme Mage uses this magic, it's not so powerful. It's really terrifying. It's terrifying. Mage Mordo is also very powerful. He can actually face this magic. If I were to face this kind of magic, I would probably kneel down. No, after all, he is an archmage, not something we can compare with. The terrifying storm swept through and went straight to Mordo. On the field, Wang Yang also discovered that something was wrong with Mordo. It seems too strong. Wang Yang raised his hand and waved, and the power of Vatum wind instantly decreased by 90%. It should be accepted like this, Wang Yang muttered to himself. At the same time, although the wind of Vatum had reduced its power by 90%, it still looked terrifying and rolled towards Mordo. Countless mages present gasped at this moment. Many people are worried about Mordo. After all, with such a terrifying power, even some gravel was involved, and it would be crushed into powder. At this moment, on the arena, countless red lines appeared around Mordo, and then a huge shield was formed to cover him. It is the shield of Seraphim. Boom! The powerful storm aura spread out, and even many mages were blown away directly. After the storm passed, the ring was redisplayed in front of everyone. I saw Modu, who was obviously a black man, with a pale complexion, sweat dripping down his body constantly, and his clothes were soaked, as if he was the rest of his life. The entire mirrored space fell silent, almost silent. Countless mages can't imagine that there is such a terrifying magic. Especially in their hands, this magic is only an auxiliary magic, but in Wang Yang's hands, it has become so powerful. Although this ceremony did not end after Wang Yang and Moro had a discussion, the battles of other people basically couldn't give them such a strong feeling. It feels like I gave you the delicacies of the mountains and seas, and now I give you a rough meal. The difference is not too big. Strange has successfully become a trainee mage. However, he is not at all happy now. Instead, I felt extremely depressed. Although it is said that Master Wang Yang is not on the same level as him, the gap in magical power is also too large. Look at the magic in Wang Yang's hand, and then look at his own. The gap between my trainee mage and the real mage is too big. But this also made him start to work harder. He wanted to let go of Wang Yang's efforts. Strange, you're here, not bad. Wang Yang and Mordo came to the training ground together again to wait for Strange. When Strange arrived here, Mordo spoke first. Mage Mordo, Mage Wang Yang. Strange looked at the two and saluted them. Okay, don't be too polite, congratulations on your official becoming a trainee mage, but this is just a new start on the road to trainee mage, you still have to study hard. Mordo said earnestly. I understand, Mage Mordo. Thinking of Wang Yang, he felt that he was still 108,000 miles away, and he didn't have the capital to be proud of. Okay, let's start. Today I will teach you another auxiliary magic, the Weishan Emperor Chain. The Weishan Emperor Chain is a magic derived from the energy of Weishan Emperor. Using the divine power of Emperor Weishan, hundreds of chains can be released in an instant, binding the enemy. Mordo explained slowly. Then Modu glanced at Wang Yang and said, this magic was researched by Master Hamel. You can bind the enemy. But you have to remember that the Weishan Emperor Chain has no attack power. Of course, compared to the binding force, the Weishan Emperor Chain is not as good as the Scarlet Chain, but the Weishan Emperor Chain is fast in casting spells. As for the rest, you can study it yourself. Wang Yang, show it to Strange. Modu opened his mouth and then warned, don't use all your strength. Since the last sparring session, Modu has lingering fears about Wang Yang's full strength, which is really terrifying. Okay, Wang Yang was noncommittal. Just when Wang Yang took a step, Modu continued, the Weishan Emperor's chain is not complicated in nature, it is all about mental power, and magic spells are not too important, you have to see how Wang Yang casts it, see how to use his mental power. Hearing Mordo's words, Strange looked at Wang Yang with great anticipation. Wang Yang raised his hand and waved to open the entrance to the mirror space. I forgot, I really should enter the mirror space, otherwise, the training ground may be destroyed. Mordo couldn't help laughing dumbly, and then took Strange into the mirror space. In the mirrored space, as you walk in, the surrounding buildings suddenly fall down and become flat, and this place also becomes a wide area. If I do it, look good. Wang Yang said something, and then concentrated his mental energy. Weishan Emperor Chain. As the buzzing sounded, in an instant, countless chains spurted out, like a big net, spreading around. Wang Yang is in the middle of these chains, like a spider that chooses and devours people. And these golden iron chains are extremely thick, as if they are huge, they look like a dozen huge stone pillars, and Modu's face can't help but stiffen. Didn't it tell you not to use your full strength? This Weishandi chain is too thick, your chain is comparable to hundreds of mine. Is this magic that humans can perform? Wang Yang is also very helpless. He has no strength. After all, when he first used it, he directly used the multi-dimensional Mountain Emperor chain. Reading. It's over now. Boom. One of the huge Wycian Emperor chains accidentally fell and hit the ground. A powerful impact spread out. After all, Mordo was an archmage, and he reacted very quickly. After seeing this scene, he quickly cast defensive magic and then resisted it. Even so, he still took a few steps back in embarrassment. Watching the dust dissipate, a huge pothole appeared in front of the two of them. Mordo and Strange were a little shocked to see this scene. Strange pointed to the huge pothole in front of him, and said with some shock, "Mage Mordo, this Wycian Emperor chain can only be used to trap people. It's useless." Moro couldn't help but smile bitterly. Wang Yang also quickly took back the chain. He didn't use the Wycian Emperor's chain very much, so the control was a little less precise. When he looked at Modu, he saw that Modu was staring at him. Everyone said that you should not use your full strength, yet still exert such great power. No face at all. And this is an auxiliary magic. If you use such a powerful power alone, it will mislead Strange. Do you think that anyone can use an auxiliary magic as powerful as you? Mordo cursed in his heart, but after all, in front of Strange, these words could only be said in his heart. The surface is still calm. Although he really wanted to tell Strange that this was really just an auxiliary magic, not everyone could be human like Wang Yang. Strange, if you want to reach the level of Master Wang Yang, you can only work hard, otherwise, you can only exert the power of an auxiliary magic. Mordo took a deep breath and calmed himself down, so as not to lose his reputation as an archmage in front of Strange. Yes, Strange nodded solemnly. Strange deeply felt the power of Wang Yang's magic, and longed to be the same as Wang Yang. Make magic so powerful. After that, Mordo asked Strange to go back to practice. Master Mordo, will you continue to teach tomorrow? Wang Yang looked at Modu. Looking at Wang Yang with a humble smile on his face, Modu's heart was extremely complicated. This time, the magic demonstrations are like blows again and again. He is an archmage after all. If this continues, Wang Yang is more like an archmage, and he is only a trainee mage. Can't continue, he would rather teach alone. He had countless words in his heart that he wanted to say, but in the end he only said light words. No need, just such a Wycian chain is enough for Strange to study for a few days. You should also practice magic well. Don't delay your own magic practice because you teach others magic. Modu was right in his words, but he couldn't help but mutter in his heart, as far as the magic power that Wang Yang can exert, can it be stronger? It is really possible that it is more powerful. Is Wang Yang a human? He is not human. Is a monster. Mordo was extremely depressed. Naturally, Wang Yang didn't know what Mordo was thinking, so he nodded and said, "Okay, Master Mordo, I'll go first." Wang Yang returned to his residence and meditated cross-legged. Meditation is a way for mages to enhance their spiritual power, emptying themselves and spreading their spiritual power. The next day, Wang Yang went to the library. Since he didn't need to teach, he naturally wanted to learn new magic. And there are many magic books in the library, he has the opportunity to learn more powerful magic. Just when Wang Yang stepped into the library, Wang saw it at a glance, and his expression couldn't help changing. "Wang Yang, why are you here?" Last time, Wang Yang directly destroyed the library because of a magical mistake. Now the library has finally recovered, why is it here again? He still has some lingering fears now. I'm afraid that Wang Yang will make some more fools. Archmage, I'm here to read the magic book. Don't worry, I won't use magic casually this time, even if it's an experiment, I'll be in the mirror space. Seeing Wang's expression, Wang Yang couldn't help but smile apologetically. Cough, I didn't let you come to the library. However, you have to pay more attention. It's good to cast magic in the mirror space. Wang nodded as he spoke. I understand, Archmage. Wang Yang smiled and nodded, then said, don't worry, I know what. Wang also nodded and said, okay, then you can go, pay attention to safety. Okay. Wang Yang smiled, then entered the library and started looking for magic books. Compared with ordinary magic books, it can no longer meet his needs at this time. He looked at the magic book locked with chains. These are the books of the Supreme Master. The reason why they are locked with chains is because no one in Kamatage can understand these books. If the previous Wang Yang could not understand it, but after absorbing so many talents, he has already achieved a very high level of magic. He took out a copy, and then read it on the chair. This is a record of the hogs. In the world of Marvel, there are all kinds of strange gods. There are many kinds of gods, and there are too many. These gods are in other sense spaces, or other universes. Wang Yang couldn't remember the large number. And hogs is also an ancient powerhouse. He is not very interested in hogs' story, but it records one of his magics in the magic circle that summons hogs. Wang Yang approached the magic circle, and there was a strong aura. Then he turned the page. The power of the gods, as long as the gods are evil, they may charm people who are not strong-willed. Then Wang Yang saw hogs, magic. The ancient body of hogs. This is a powerful defensive magic that can instantly energize one's body and resist most attacks. Except for the direct attacks of a small number of gods that cannot be resisted, other attacks can basically be resisted. Therefore, when fighting Thanos with the Infinity Gloves, Doctor Strange used this magic to resist the attack of a black hole. You can see the power of this magic. In a dangerous world of Marvel, there is such a powerful defensive magic, it goes without saying. Wang Yang looked at the various magical patterns recorded on the pages, as well as the trajectory of the human body. Ding! Hogarth magic fragments detected. Are they fused? Fusion. A magical knowledge and experience of hogs' ancient body flooded into his mind. He also began to use his physical and mental power on his own, wanting to try the power of the ancient body magic. But now it's not possible in the library. After all, the last time is still fresh in his memory, and he doesn't want Ji Yuyi to do it again. Raising his hand, Wang Yang opened the mirror space. In the next step, he entered the mirror space. Wang is paying attention to Wang Yang all the time, so as not to happen like the last time. After seeing that Wang Yang was gone, knowing that Wang Yang had entered the mirror space, he could not help but breathe a sigh of relief. In the mirror space, Wang Yang stood among them. There is still a library here, but there is no king. Let me see the power of the ancient body. The magic incantation began to be recited by Wang Yang. At the same time, his body seemed to be energized, and he could directly spread out, like a split. Turned into pieces. These crystal fragments spread out, as if they had turned into butterflies, which looked extremely beautiful. Although Wang Yang felt his body spread, he didn't feel much. At the same time he appeared nearby. What a beautiful butterfly! Just when he was sighing, the energy of these butterflies suddenly spread, and a force of terrifying impact spread out. Boom! The explosion was like a chain reaction, and all the butterflies collapsed and exploded. The entire mirror space trembled violently, and a crack appeared in the sky. At the same time, cracks appeared in the sky. At this time, Wang in the library, after Wang Yang entered the mirror space, was extremely relaxed and read a book. But at this moment, boom! At this moment, a huge vibration sounded, and Wang sat on the ground directly. And there were hundreds of cracks in front of him, exuding a terrifying aura. Wang looked at the scene in front of him in shock. Didn't Wang Yang enter the mirror space to experiment with magic? How can you make such a big noise? Moreover, such a big movement can still be made in this mirror space. Is it still a human? He has never seen someone who can break his own mirror space. Looking at the crack in the space in front of him, Wang made his whole body tremble involuntarily. These space cracks are extremely terrifying things, maybe even he may be directly cut to pieces. He really couldn't imagine that someone could break his own mirror space. It seems that even the Supreme Mage cannot do this. Because of being able to use such magic, a more powerful mirror space can be used. So what exactly did Wang Yang do in it? Why can the mirror space be made like this? Even this Kama-Taj was affected. Just experimenting with a magic trick can make this kind of movement. Seeing the crack in the space in front of him disappear, Wang is relieved. But his face was still pale. Kama-Taj with Wang Yang is too dangerous. Maybe it will be ruined by this kid's magic that day. Wang couldn't help muttering. At this time, Mordo and Strange on the training ground also felt it. Mage Mordo, what happened? Strange frowned a little. It can't be an earthquake. You must know that Kama-Taj is on Mount Everest. If an earthquake occurs, it may cause a huge avalanche. I'm afraid it's enough to bury the entire Kama-Taj alive. Do not worry, Mordo shook his head and said, I have already probed the source of the earthquake just now, and it came from the library. Library. Strange was a little surprised. How could the library cause such a big shock? Mordo didn't say much, but he had already guessed how much. Besides Wang Yang, who else could cause such a big disturbance? But everyone went to the library to read quietly and to study magic. Wang Yang was good. Every time he went to the library, it seemed like he was studying deadly weapons, and the whole Kamatage was shaken. Mordo didn't know what to say. This kid is really a monster. Strange, don't worry about this, let's continue to learn magic. Mordo shook his head and said, Yes, Mage Mordo. Strange nodded, then began to learn today's magic. In the cosmos, a huge spaceship galloped towards Waltelheim. This is the kingdom of the Dark Elves. And the Dark Elves who had been sleeping for thousands of years finally woke up at this time. The Dark Elf leader Malekith finally ushered in the day of recovery. A growl came from his mouth. Odin, your kingdom will be destroyed by me, and your family will also be killed by me. Malekith's roar caused many Dark Elves to agree. Suddenly, a spaceship jumped out of space and landed in the sky above many Dark Elves. What is that? Who? Is it from Asgard? Quote. Numerous Dark Elves took out their weapons and waited. At this moment, a ray of light was projected from the huge spaceship, a slender figure like a monkey, and a huge figure standing aside. I have seen the leader of the Dark Elves. I am ebony-throated, serving the great Thanos. Destroyer. Malekith narrowed his eyes. We didn't come here to fight you, just to bring you a message. Ebony Maw bowed slightly, and then said, What news? Malekith looked at this lanky guy like a monkey. I know you want to deal with Odin, but with your current strength, I'm afraid you won't be able to compete with the Lord of the Nine Realms. The ebony throat opened slowly. What do you mean? You say I'm not as good as Odin? Malekith approached Ebony Maw with a weapon in his hand. With anger on his face, he would kill the two people in front of him if they disagreed. We are not here to fight you, we are here to help you. Ebony Throat said indifferently. Ether particle news. Originally, he wanted to kill the two rude guys in front of him, but when he suddenly heard what the two of them said, Malekith's expression couldn't help changing. The ether is the treasure of the Dark Elves. Since the defeat of the war, the treasure has been taken away by Odin. Their Dark Elves also declined because of this. There are only a few thousand people left now, which really makes Malekith angry and wants to raze Asgard to the ground. Although he was arrogant and dissatisfied with Ebony-Throated and felt that he was inferior to Odin, he also knew in his heart that this was the truth. The leader of the Dark Elves, we don't think you can defeat Odin without the ether particles, we just want to form an ally with you, and before forming an ally, let you defeat the power of Odin. Ebony-Throated said very politely. Although Malekith has no interest in forming an ally with any Thanos, the ether particle is extremely important to him. As a 1,000-year-old enemy, he naturally knew how powerful Odin was. If there is no ether particle, he may not be Odin's opponent at all. Not to mention that Asgard has a powerful army. Otherwise, will not be able to fight the Nine Realms and obtain the highest honor as before. If they can get ether, then they may still have a chance to fight. Ether, where is it? Malekith asked in a deep voice. Tell me where the ether is. As long as the ether is available, I am willing to form an ally with you on behalf of the Dark Elves. Ebony-Throated smiled. At this time, the ether is in the magic holy land of Kamatage. Odin put the ether on the earth, just for the Dark Elves to wake up and spread to Asgard. Oh, little earth, how dare Odin put it there? Malekith sighed. He was here and didn't pay attention to the earth. Naturally, he didn't know about Kamatage and the Supreme Master Gu. Because of the distance, the leader of the Dark Elf, I believe that with your strength, you will definitely be able to regain the ether. Ebony Throat put his hand on his chest, very polite. I believe you can definitely become allies. Malekith nodded and said, it will definitely. However, the next moment, Malekith suddenly shot and went straight to the two of them. However, just as Malekith approached and suddenly shot, the black dwarf star disappeared suddenly, and the spaceship above his head galloped away. Running really fast, but I thought I would use the ether as a favor, and I would bring the Dark Elves to form an alliance with you. Ridiculous. Malekith snorted coldly, then summoned the Dark Elves and headed straight for the Earth. In the spaceship, look at the dark elves who were rapidly gathering at this time. The black dwarf frowned and made a dull voice. The earth doesn't have ether, and why do you want to ally with the dark elves? Alliance. That's just an excuse for them to believe. Ebony-throated shook his head and said, as for the earth, there is naturally no ether. Karmatage is just a place to study magic. But they affected our New York World War I, and they should pay the price. Black Dwarf nodded. They really should pay the price to stop Thanos' plan. Then the spaceship disappeared into the dark universe. The Dark Elves are a group of creatures that can live in the dark. They can completely integrate into the darkness. This is their advantage. They are born assassins and born sneakers. Their spaceships could not be monitored, and even the heavily guarded Asgard could not prevent the invasion of the Dark Elves at all. Even Heimdall, the number one eye of the 9 realms, couldn't find any trace of the Dark Elves at all. So they entered Asgard and killed Odin's wife. It can be seen that they are powerful. Although Kamatage has a strong defense, there are not many masters except the Supreme Master. In addition, at this moment, the mages have just ended the ceremony because of the fact that most mages are in a state of slack. It also made the intrusion of the Dark Elves extremely easy. They infiltrated directly from the temple. Although every temple has guards, in the face of Dark Elves who are good at lurking, they have been killed by Dark Elves without even reacting. Malekith had fought against Odin, so dealing with these mages was no problem. The temple forces in London were simply undefendable. However, there are also Archmage protections in the London temple. Archmage Basil Chemos is also a leader among Archmage. At this time, seeing the death of the mage, he was extremely angry. Dark Elves, you dare to break into the London temple, the Supreme Mage will not let you go. He roared. Then, with a wave of both hands, a shield in one hand, and a golden chain in the other, he charged straight up. The golden chains carry amazing magical energy. He threw it out and smashed into a dark elf, bursting out a powerful golden fire. The dark elf was directly annihilated under this chain. However, Malekith rushed over and directly resisted the magical attack. Malekith had resisted Odin's power with his physical body, so a magic attack of this level was nothing. There was absolutely no way to do any damage to Malekith. Weak magic, Malekith said disdainfully, and then directly threw a punch. Basil Chemos' magical shield collapsed and turned into a spark. Then he directly grabbed Basil Chemos' neck with one hand. Then pinched it directly. Basil Chemos could only helplessly lose his strength and breath. Go, take back the ether. Malekith waved his hand and rushed directly into Kamatage. As for whether what Ebony-Throated said is true, he needs to personally verify it. As for whether he will offend anyone, he is not afraid. How strong can a single Earth have? He just wants to defeat Odin and turn the entire universe into a kingdom of darkness. The Dark Elves also roared, rushed into the Kamatage. At this time, Kamatage was in the middle. Mordo is still teaching strange magic. This time, without Wang Yang's relationship, Mordo taught Strange without the slightest impact. Although Strange's talent is not bad, if Wang Yang is here, it makes him feel as if he is the right one. Student. I don't feel that way anymore. Very good, Strange, you need to work hard to control your mental power, so that the control and power of magic will also be improved. Mordo spoke slowly. Strange listened carefully, his face was very serious, and he did not dare to neglect at all. At this moment, the roar sounded again. Mage Mordo, did you hear anything? Strange frowned and looked into the distance. Modu said disapprovingly, maybe Wang Yang is doing something again, don't worry about it. Wang Yang often makes some noises, and now they are all used to it. But, Mr. Mordo, the voice seems to be getting closer. Hearing Mordo's words, Strange nodded at first, but then he heard some roaring sounds again, and this time the sound seemed to be much closer than before. It seems to be getting closer and closer to them. When Mordo heard Strange's words, he became a little puzzled. I also felt something, and he also heard the screams of some mages. No, it seems that there is an invasion by a foreign enemy. Come on, Strange, let's go and see. Mordo said to Strange. Speaking of which, Mordo planned to take Strange over there to have a look. Just before they took a few steps, they saw a group of people in black walking over. These people were pale, wearing black armor and holding weapons. The leader is a man who looks very strong with extraordinary momentum. Mordo saw them, and Malekith naturally saw these two mages rushing over. At the moment Malekith's face sank and he said, "Tell me where the ether particles are placed, maybe I can make your death easier." Following Malekith's words, several dark elves holding laser weapons in the back raised their laser weapons. "Ether particle? What ether particle?" Mordo snorted coldly. "Dare to invade Kamataj, you are courting death." Mordo's words fell, his hands trembled, and the red ring of Ragador appeared in both hands. Not only him, but Strange also flicked his hands, and the red Ragador ring appeared. "Strange, prepare to fight. We are Kamataj's mages." As Mordo spoke, he went straight to the second district of Malekith. Whoosh whoosh, laser weapons blazed out. Mordo blocked with the ring of Ragador. Bang! The powerful laser weapon directly shattered the ring of Ragador on Mordo's right hand. After the left hand resisted again, the next moment, Mordo had an extra magic sword in his right hand and headed towards one of the dark elves that rushed out. Pooh! The dark elf was directly cut in half. But the next moment, Malekith slammed out with a punch. Even Mordo's ring of Ragador couldn't resist it, and the whole person was thrown out. Seeing this, Strange quickly caught Mordo. Mordo couldn't help blushing, but he was actually saved by his disciple, but these enemies were much more powerful than he imagined. Mordo is already one of the more powerful among Kamataj's archmage. Although it looks ordinary at ordinary times, but in real battles, his strength is still extremely powerful. Even Malekith couldn't do anything for a while. "Strange, be careful, these dark elves are very powerful." Without waiting for Mordodo to say, Malekith's men also rushed up, directly to Strange, and for a while everyone fought on the training ground. One is the most powerful mage under the Supreme Mage, and the other is the future Doctor Strange. Not to mention, the Doctor Strange under the guidance of Wang Yang and Moro is much better than the one in the movie. For a while, these dark elves were stopped here. But Mordo and Strange understood that these guys were stronger than they thought. Every attack basically carries a powerful dark power. With one punch, they could be seen knocking back a few steps. Even the ring of Ragador in his hand was flickering. And not only that, their attack did not pose the slightest threat to Malekith. It's not that Kamataj's magic is not good, but that their strength is incomparable to Malekith. It's like a battle between an adult and two children, no longer on the same level. It seems that I underestimated Kamataj, but that's it. Malekith's voice was extremely cold, and then he said coldly, "No one can stop me from getting the ether particles." Malekith shouted, his entire body was enveloped by a dark force. He punched out, and the surrounding air carried a dark current. Boom! Mordo was directly punched and flew out and spat out a mouthful of blood. But even so, he immediately stood up again, with determination on his face. "I am the Archmage of Kamataj, and it is my duty to protect Kamataj, even if it costs my life. You broke into Kamataj, the Supreme Mage will definitely make you pay the price." Mordo roared and rushed up again. Powerful magical energy surrounds him, and the ring of Ragador in his hand seems to have become a bit more powerful. But even so, still useless. After all, Malekith is too powerful. He is a powerful being that can fight against Odin. Maybe there will be some moisture in it, but it is still conceivable that his strength may not be as terrifying as Odin, but his physical quality must be so strong that it cannot be compared with ordinary people on Earth. He even withstood Mordo's attack without defending at all. And Malekith's attack, Mordo couldn't resist at all. After spewing a mouthful of blood, he flew out. It hit a pillar directly. 2 or 3 ribs were broken, but even so, Mordo still stood up strong. "I am Master Kamataj, disciple of the Supreme Master. Even if I die, I won't let you pass." At this time, Mordo was in a very embarrassed state, and the monk robes on his body were torn and stained with his blood. Even so, he had stopped Malekith with great determination. Although he didn't know what the ether was that Malekith was looking for. But he had to stop Malekith. Even Malekith couldn't help nodding after seeing this scene. "I admit, you are a warrior, and even among us dark elves, your courage is worthy of praise. I will use all my strength to send you back to the darkness." Malekith now looked at Mordo with a very serious expression. With blood on the corner of Mordo's mouth, he looked at Malekith firmly. No matter what happened, he would not back down, even half a step. Seeing death as home. At this time, Strange, who resisted the attack of a dark elf, looked back and saw this scene. No, Mage Mordo. A person suddenly appeared in his mind. Perhaps only this person can save them, save Mordo. Master Wang Yang. At this moment, Strange shouted loudly, using the loudest voice in his life. Master Wang Yang. The voice slowly spread out. Wang Yang was originally experimenting with magic in the mirror space, but because of the power of the ancient body, the space was directly torn apart. He just walked out and was about to apologize to Wang. At this moment, he suddenly felt a dark aura. When I came out with the king, I saw the dark elves fighting the mage. Without the slightest hesitation, the two directly joined the battle. Are Mordo and Strange on the training ground? The king shouted loudly, these dark elves are not considered powerful, but if their leader also comes, I am afraid that Mordo and Strange will also be in danger. Leave this to me, you can go and see. Wang said directly. He understood the power of these dark elves better than Wang Yang. Wang Yang wanted to say that they shouldn't be at the training ground, but he should go and see if anyone is there. Without any hesitation, he glanced at it. After Wang resisted these dark elves, he drew a circle and opened the portal. Just sent over. He heard Strange shouting loudly. Master Wang Yang. Afterwards, he saw Mordo who was fighting against Malekith at a glance. You reading www.uakanshu.com. Poof. Moro was about to fly upside down. Wang Yang raised his hand and drew a circle and appeared behind Moro. The moment Moro flew upside down, he rushed directly into the portal. Then he was caught by Wang Yang. Wang Yang blocked Mordo with one hand, and then said, Master Mordo, how is it? No, it's fine. Poof. Mordo spat out a mouthful of blood again, and the whole person couldn't help but look down. As on the verge of falling into a coma. After all, even though Mordo is an archmage, in front of Malekith, he is still no different from a mortal. You take a rest first, then leave it to me. Wang Yang helped Mordo to sit down, then walked towards Malekith. Be careful, he's very powerful. Mordo reminded with difficulty. I know, Mage Mordo. Wang Yang responded, and instead of looking back, he looked at Malekith. Malekith, you shouldn't have appeared at Kamatage, and you shouldn't have hurt my teacher. Wang Yang's voice was a little cold. It's just that Malekith didn't care about Wang Yang's words, and said coldly, if you stop me from getting the ether, you must die. And for the weak, to the strong, kill them when they should, you are not qualified to exist. Hearing Malekith's words, Wang Yang couldn't help but smile. You dark elves are still so arrogant, you have already been beaten by Odin and are about to exterminate your clan, and you still think you are strong, yet so arrogant. Wang Yang shook his head as he spoke. Hearing what Wang Yang said, Malekith was furious and roared up to the sky. This kid is uncovering his scars. You wanna die. For Malekith, being defeated by Odin and the heavy losses of the Dark Elves group was the motivation for him to seek Odin's revenge. But being told by a weak human race is simply mockery. You wanna die. Malekith's dark power continued to surge. He rushed directly to Wang Yang and punched him. Then Wang Yang raised his hand and waved, colliding with Malekith's divine power, and Malekith's power dissipated directly. Fighting here will only destroy Kamatage. Strange, we will solve them in the mirror space. Wang Yang took a step back and slapped the ground with both hands. A terrifying aura spread to the surroundings, and countless space glasses spread to the surroundings. There were even countless cracks in the ice. Whether it was the Dark Elves, or Strange who fought with the Dark Elves, they also entered the mirror space. Because of bad luck, several of the Dark Elves were directly chopped up by the power of space in the mirror space. Now, you can destroy anything you want. After entering the mirror space, Wang Yang no longer cared about it. However, Malekith was very angry. This kid not only revealed his scars, but also killed his people. These are just weak and frail earthlings. Go to hell. Malekith was shrouded in darkness. As they can fight the Asgardians, they are naturally powerful by nature. For them, there is no need to study any moves at all. Any attack can burst out the power of powerful force. A punch and a kick can bring powerful power. Just like Malekith now, the power of darkness has begun to spread around, and even the ground has been corroded with some traces. When Strange saw Malekith's change over there, he couldn't help but shudder. Although he has been fighting other Dark Elves, he also knows how powerful these Dark Elves are. Master Wang Yang, be careful, these dark auras are very dangerous. Strange reminded quickly. In fact, he was also attacked by a dark elf, and he thought that the magic shield could resist it. However, by accident, the magic shield was directly broken. If he hadn't reacted quickly, he might have died by now. But Wang Yang, who saw this scene, raised his hand and waved. Wind of Vatum. A mighty storm passed by. Even the powerful dark corrosive power on Malekith was scraped away from him in an instant. Wang Yang looked back at Strange, and said suspiciously, Strange, what did you say? Seeing that Wang Yang easily broke the terrifying dark aura on Malekith's body, Strange's eyes twitched. He forgot that Wang Yang couldn't speculate with common sense, and he still used himself to worry about him. No. Nothing, Strange said helplessly, although he also used some methods, but none of them worked. The key is that he is still facing some ordinary dark elves. How can a dark elves leader be so easy? It made him feel that he was really useless. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but smile bitterly. Because of this, he was almost hit by a few ordinary dark elves. Fortunately, because of Mordo's training, his reaction power has also been greatly improved. Therefore, it can be quickly resisted. And Wang Yang also fought with Malekith. Seeing that his power of darkness could not take effect, Malekith rushed forward, trying to crush Wang Yang with his powerful body. Wang Yang sneered directly, he is a mage, and pure hand-to-hand combat is something only a fool would do. Ding, detected the physical talent fragments, are they fused? Wang Yang couldn't help but be stunned for a moment, and then he didn't hesitate at all. Fusion. At the same time, Wang Yang's muscles began to change. It seems that as long as he wants to, his body will be stronger. The mage's body would have been blessed with cosmic energy, and with the fusion of Malekith's physical talent, Wang Yang's body became stronger at this moment. Wang Yang, who didn't want to confront Malekith at first, also changed his mind at this moment. The basic structure of the magic rune was condensed in the fists, and then rushed directly. The powerful body collided directly towards Malekith. Bang bang bang. A muffled sound continued to collide and resound in the mirrored space. The surrounding buildings were also under the influence of the two men's fight, and the surrounding buildings began to be damaged by the two men's attacks. Every step of Malekith's foot can explode with terrifying power. There are almost always large pits several meters deep on the ground. With a punch, the air will also burst into a sharp neigh, as if the air was directly torn apart. The two kept fighting. They could almost punch to the flesh, and the air burst. The powerful air waves spread out, and even the battle between Strange and the dark elves nearby was affected, making them unable to fight with peace of mind. Strange couldn't help but be shocked when he saw this scene. Is this Wang Yang still a mage? This physical strength is almost the same as that of the dark elf leader Malekith. Although a mage will strengthen his body through cosmic energy, it is a little stronger, even if Wang Yang is powerful because of his magical talent should be limited. And the power of these dark elves is so powerful that even his magical shield can't resist it. Now this Wang Yang, who is almost a mage like him, is as big as this dark elf. Although he was much shorter than the dark elf Malekith, Wang Yang, he could still forcibly block the opponent's attack, and Malekith, who could still fight, was losing ground. At this moment, Strange couldn't help but froze in place. Luckily, the dark elves who fought with him couldn't help but look at this scene in shock after seeing it. Only the dark elves will better understand the power of their leader. Their leader can beat 10 of them at least one at a time, but even so, a small human mage can actually block their leader's attack. Is that human being? The key is that they can still fight against their leader, and only they know how difficult it is. Although they have also seen whether Wang Yang can still use magic to block attacks, but sometimes Wang Yang can even gain the upper hand. They are all like that, not to mention Malekith himself. At this time, he was extremely uncomfortable. The bigger he got, the more he felt aggrieved, and the more he fought, the more uncomfortable he became. As the king of dark elves, he was actually resisted by a human being, and even occasionally fell behind. Give me death. Malekith roared and threw a punch. This punch brought together Malekith's powerful dark power, as if the air was torn apart and burned. Going straight to Wang Yang. Malekith's punch took all his anger and went straight to Wang Yang. It seemed that he was about to hit Wang Yang's punch, but the next moment he was suddenly flashed by Wang Yang. Malekith also became a little stunned from the madness at the beginning. You must know that he originally thought that this punch would be impossible to avoid if the other party said anything. After all, he has already used all his strength, even the dark elves of the same system as him may not be able to escape. However, now it has been avoided by a mortal. Malekith was furious, but before he could react, he saw the same punch smashed quickly. Bang! Malekith, who missed a punch, didn't have the slightest energy to dodge. Malekith staggered back involuntarily, looking angry and a little embarrassed. The Dark Elves are also a very martial race, just like Asgard. Bravery is the symbol of the Dark Elves, but now he has been punched by a mortal. Malice at this moment can no longer be described as burning with anger, but as full of destruction. Mortal, you can actually hit me, I am the king of Dark Elves. Malekith was very angry. In his opinion, mortals should not be able to defeat him, nor can they hit him, but now Wang Yang actually hit him and made him back off. It seems that the so-called Dark Elf power is similar to mine. Wang Yang muttered to himself, he shouldn't have many talents to deal with, but with the help of the basic structure of magic runes and the supplementation of cosmic energy to the flesh, he has actually reached a physique similar to that of a Dark Elf. And this kind of power can't be compared with the Hulk. As for why he couldn't detect the Hulk's talent, I'm afraid it's not because of Hulk's talent, but because of gamma rays and anger. The more angry he is, the more powerful he is. So it seems that all he can absorb is the innate talent. These thoughts flashed in Wang Yang's mind. But Malekith, who heard Wang Yang's words, was even more angry. Breathing heavily from his nose, he stared at Wang Yang as if he was going to eat it alive. Wang Yang didn't care. The strength of the Dark Elves may not be that great, but their ability to resist beatings must not be underestimated. After all, Thor, the god of thunder, can even resist the power of stars. Even if this Dark Elf can't compare, it's not much worse. Now that he has understood the situation of his own body, he is too lazy to confront the Dark Elves again. The flames of light in his hand flowed, and a long sword was condensed in an instant. The sacred sword of Emperor Weixin. Without waiting for Malekith to rush up, Wang Yang had already taken the initiative to meet him. The sacred sword of Weishandi in his hand exuded a terrifying halo, which looked extremely gorgeous. The sharp breath is even more captivating and shocking. Strange, who was next to him, was stunned when he saw this scene. It's obviously the same magic, but his magic looks relatively mediocre. Could this be someone else's magic? Strange also tried to cast the holy sword of Vishanti. It looks like an ordinary flame sword. Compared with the sacred sword of Emperor Weixin in Wang Yang's hand, there is no comparison at all. Although magic is practical, it seems that there is a huge gap, which makes him doubt his life. Obviously, when he was teaching, Mordudu already felt that he used the holy sword of Weixin Emperor very well. But why is there such a big difference with Wang Yang? And in terms of power, there seems to be a huge difference. Seeing Wang Yang holding the divine sword of Weishandi and chasing Malekith to slash, Strange couldn't help but have a look of envy on his face. Those Dark Elves couldn't help but be stunned by the scene of the quiz. They have never seen their leader be so embarrassed. With a sword cut down, a black smoke appeared from Malekith's body, which was the phenomenon of his divine power being evaporated. Malekith could feel that the power of this flaming sword was terrifying and dangerous. He didn't even dare to use his physical body to resist, he could only use the divine power he carried to block and consume it. But that was enough to make him a little bit broken. What is going on here? Why is there such a strong person in a place like the Earth? He, Malekith, is the king of the Dark Elves, who once fought Odin, the Lord of the Nine Realms. Now he is being beaten by a mortal. This made Malekith a little angry and a little unwilling. It's just that it's of no use. He was still being chased and chopped, and he could only dodge. In front of this flaming sword, the magic that the Dark Elves are proud of is simply not worth mentioning. Just a simple sword was enough to sever the magic weapon in his hand. How can it be? A mere mortal. Malekith couldn't imagine why such a terrifying powerhouse could be born on a single Earth. And he has lived for thousands of years, and he has seen a lot of powerful weapons. Whether it's Odin's Gingnur Eternal Spear or the ancient ice coffin of the ice giant. These artifacts all possess incomparably powerful powers. However, Such a magical weapon formed by simply condensing magic actually has such terrifying power. Malekith was completely unimaginable and unimaginable. He felt that his worldview had been refreshed. Enough. Being chased and beaten by a human being, even Malekith couldn't bear it, and roared in anger. The dark power on his body erupted directly, causing Wang Yang to take a few steps back. Mortal, you should die in front of me. Malekith was extremely angry and stared at Wang Yang fiercely. I'm a little surprised, how did your dark elves persist for so long? If the power of these dark elves is only such power, it is estimated that Odin should have shot and wiped out the entire dark elves. Could it be that Odin lost his ambition when he fought these dark elves? But no matter what, Wang Yang couldn't let these dark elves continue to be so arrogant in their camouflage. While speaking, Wang Yang shook his left hand, the ring of Ragardor appeared in his hand, and the holy sword of Vishanti in his right hand went straight to the dark elf. As he moved, the entire mirror space also moved and rolled at this moment. Everyone in the entire space felt that the world seemed to be controlled by a terrifying existence. Even Strange couldn't help his hair stand up and stood motionless. The cold sweat slowly dripped down at this time. Although Strange knew that Wang Yang was powerful, he never thought that Wang Yang could be so powerful. Is this the true strength of Master Wang Yang? Aragorn saw that the king of the Dark Elf was beaten so badly at this time, and he could only retreat in embarrassment. As Malekith's subordinate, Aragorn couldn't help it. Why did his leader do this? At this moment, a Dark Elf let out a roar, and then a black stone appeared in his hand. Bang! He squeezed it directly, and a black aura emanated from it, and then merged directly into his body. As it merged, the Dark Elf let out a painful roar, and at the same time, the power of darkness poured out like a tide. And then wrapped his whole body. It made his whole body swell up and down, and his body became more than 2 meters tall. The body is even more covered with a black-brown armor, which is full of cracks and emits a red light. Just by looking at it, you can feel the dangerous aura it exudes. Roar! With a roar, the Dark Elf rushed directly to Wang Yang. Master Wang Yang, be careful. Strange could feel the terrifying aura emanating from this terrifying Dark Elf. He wanted to block, but the Dark Elf slapped him directly. The ring of Ragardor in his hand collapsed. Strange was also full of horror at this time, a little incredible. In front of such a powerful monster, he couldn't even resist. It's just too scary. Obviously, the black stone just now seemed to stimulate the potential of this Dark Elf. Master Wang Yang, you have to be careful, this guy is very powerful. Strange shouted again. At this moment, Wang Yang couldn't help but look back, and saw the Dark Elf that swelled in a circle and had black armor on his body. His body exudes an aura of destruction, like a humanoid tank. Wang Yang's eyes narrowed involuntarily, fearing that the other party used an item with explosive potential. In front of Wang Yang stood a huge shield, the shield of Seraphim, which was wrapped with 3 pairs of wings, which looked extremely sacred. Boom! A huge crash sounded. Even Wang Yang's ears couldn't resist. However, the huge shield in front of him remained motionless. The mutated shield of Seraphim has stronger defense, I don't know how many times. And the Dark Elf that has changed in this way seems to be similar to the Dark Elf who killed Frigga. The strength has become stronger, and it also has a strong magic resistance, and at the same time, the intelligence has obviously been greatly affected. Naturally, this could not pose any threat to Wang Yang at all. Wang Yang disagreed. He was just a monster with a strong defense, and it was nothing. But Strange couldn't help being stunned. You resisted this monster's attack so easily. And it's so easy and yet so simple. In Strange's eyes, it was a bit incredible. Looking at the monster who was still violently smashing the shield, his eyes were full of incredible, he couldn't believe it. After all, he has tried how powerful this monster is. Almost every fist swing brings terrifying destructive power. His magical shield could not hold it at all, and even this terrifying destructive power had already spread to him. Such a terrifying power could no longer be resisted by magic. It stands to reason that even if Wang Yang's magic is stronger than his, he should not be able to resist it. At this moment, Strange couldn't help but scratch his hair a little irritably. He couldn't imagine it. Could it be that there is such a big gap between them? Strange fell into despair. How hard did he have to work to catch up with Master Wang Yang? However, Wang Yang didn't care about this seemingly terrifying enemy. This kind of enemy who has strengthened the flesh is nothing at all in front of their Kamatage master. Just like Thanos took over the Black Dwarf Star, one of the 5 Obsidian Generals. That was one of the 4 Obsidian Generals, and his power was not much weaker than Hulk, but his arm was still cut off by the King's portal. Magic can be said to have absolute lethality to such monsters. This monster is easily resisted, naturally it is not too difficult. Of course, this also requires strong magical attainments, otherwise, he can only be easily defeated by magic like Strange. This is absolute power, it restrains everything, but under similar power, magic can definitely restrain absolute power. Wang Yang carried the sacred sword of Emperor Weixin and went straight to Malekith. However, at this moment, Malekith also roared, "Give me death." Then I saw Malekith seeing a crystal thrown over. Wang Yang's heart skipped a beat. With his strength, he also had his own sense of danger. Although he doesn't know what this thing is, he can feel that this thing is very dangerous, very dangerous. Malekith narrowed his eyes with anger and resentment. This thing is the high-tech crystallization of the Dark Elves. It condenses part of the power of the stellar explosion, and even the Asgardians can't resist it. The boy in front of him, even though he is physically strong, must not be able to carry it at all. Boom! A terrifying roar sounded. Wang Yang's body turned into a little blue light that spread out. As if torn apart by this terrifying attack. Everything around was also destroyed, and countless pieces of rock were turned into dust. There was a huge hole in the ground. In order to avoid the spread of this terrifying power, their dark elves specially compressed and condensed, and controlled the spread within a few dozen meters. So after throwing this crystal, Malekith quickly retreated dozens of meters. At this time, watching Wang Yang's space explode, everything turned to dust. There was also a huge deep pit on the ground, and the man shattered into bits of light. Died. Malekith's eyes showed the pleasure of venting his anger, a mortal actually forced him to this point. However, at this moment, the little bits of light in front of him turned into butterflies one after another, spreading towards Malekith and the Dark Elves. What is this? Butterfly. Whether it was Malekith, other Dark Elves, or Strange, they couldn't help but stare blankly. Strange's eyes widened. I don't know what kind of magic this is. Just when he was shocked, he suddenly lost his foot and fell in. Then the entire space exploded violently. The flames filled the entire mirrored space. Even the mirror space itself, with its powerful defense, began to distort and swell. Strange watched this scene in shock, watching the mirror space torn apart. I am afraid that if the mirror space completely collapses, the entire Kamatage will be turned into ruins. What happened? At this moment, Mordo, who was behind him, frowned and said, Strange has been reported out of the mirror space. Mordo looked at the crack in the mirror space and was extremely shocked. Master Wang Yang is dead, but what kind of magic does he seem to cast? Strange is also a little unclear. Master Wang Yang died. Mordo felt grief and indignation in his heart. He looked at more and more space cracks, and his emotions were extremely complicated. Although Wang Yang's talent is powerful, he is often hit, but he doesn't want him to die like this. At this moment in the mirrored space, at the moment of the explosion, ordinary Dark Elves have long since turned into ashes. Only Aragorn and Malekith are still holding on. But apparently they couldn't hold on for long. After 10 minutes, everything gradually calmed down. Mordo and Strange looked at everything in front of them. The mood is extremely complicated. A powerful mage, who died this time because he sheltered Kamatage, he is the best mage. Let's go in and see. Modu gritted his teeth. Although Wang Yang might have died, he couldn't let all Wang Yang's efforts go to waste. Strange looked at the gradually recovering space in front of him, obviously the explosion had stopped, and nodded firmly. Then Mordo opened the portal, and the two walked into the mirror space one after the other. The Kamatage in the mirrored space has long been turned into ruins, and the ground is also full of ruins, and the ground is full of grey dust. Even the originally powerful Dark Elf, Malekith, turned into a skeleton at this time, and everything around was filled with eerie calm. The King of Dark Elves died here just like that. Strange looked at the scene in front of him and remembered the magic that Wang Yang cast at the end, which was terrifying. If he was among them, he would probably be dead too. Can such terrifying power and terrifying magic be used by a human being? Master Wang Yang. Moro had also seen this scene, and his heart was shocked, and the voice stopped at this moment. He had never seen such a terrifying scene before, and his voice stopped abruptly. Mordo, how are you? At the same time, Wang also brought some mages to support him. However, when he saw the scene in front of him, he couldn't help but stay where he was. Several archmages also walked in, and they were shocked. At this time, their minds were full of doubts. Where am I? What about the dark elf who broke into Kamatage? Why are they gone? Why does this mirror space seem to be the end of the world? How did it become like this? For a while, Kamatage's mage couldn't help being silent. As Kamatage's strongest combat power, they were all stunned and motionless, like wooden clay sculptures. The whole person froze here. Even the expressions on their faces are exactly the same. Where's Master Wang Yang? Suddenly, the king seemed to remember something, and said in a voiceless voice. After hearing this, Mordo and Strange were silent. Are you talking? Wang became more worried, that is Kamatage's most talented mage. King, Master Wang Yang, Master Wang Yang. Mordo felt sad in his heart, even if he heard Strange outside and didn't believe it at first, but now he has to believe that Wang Yang, in order to protect Kamatage. When Wang heard the words, he couldn't help but stagger back. The expressions of the other great mages also changed greatly, and their hearts were extremely complicated. In my mind, I recalled Wang Yang's past and played a decisive role in protecting New York. Now protect Kamatage with the power of one person and deal with the invaders. He is a worthy mage. We should hold the most solemn funeral for him. I don't know which archmage said. Who are you going to hold a funeral for? At this moment, a very relaxed voice came. Of course it's Wang Yang, if it weren't for Wang Yang. The archmage looked over, and when he spoke, he couldn't help but stop. On the other side, Wang Yang's expression was incomparably calm, and the monk's robe on his body didn't seem to be damaged in any way. Wang Yang, are you not dead? Mordo couldn't help exclaiming. Strange couldn't help crying with joy. He didn't want Master Wang Yang to die in front of him. Wang was not surprised when he saw this scene. Although he was a little sad when he heard what Modu said, he was not surprised to see Wang Yang appear again. In his opinion, Wang Yang could not die at all. Why are you here, all the great masters? Wang Yang smiled and said, Master Mordo, you should go to heal your wounds, why did you come in? After all, Mordo's injury is serious, and now he should go to the medical room for treatment, instead of running here. But after hearing Wang Yang's words, Modu couldn't help but react. Wang Yang, what's going on here? Modu looked at Wang Yang and said in awe. Just now he saw Wang Yang and Strange entering the mirror space, and he couldn't help but worry. He had seen those dark elves who were extremely terrifying, possessing powerful and surging divine power. And there are powerful technological weapons. For these mages, it is really a dimensionality reduction blow. Especially after seeing that Strange appeared, the mirror space collapsed, and countless cracks appeared. One can imagine what happened. After hearing Strange say that Wang Yang was dead, he naturally did not suspect him, although he was reluctant to admit that such a thing really happened. At this time, Wang also looked at Wang Yang. When he was dealing with the dark elves, he had a few mages come to help him. Only then did he know that there were not only dark elves here, but also other places in Kamatage. Dark elf. Apparently it was the dark elves who split up in Kamatage in search of the etheric particles. After waiting for them to deal with these dark elves, they came here to help Wang Yang. It's nothing, I just killed these dark elves. Wang Yang was stared at by so many mages, and said a little embarrassedly. You killed these dark elves alone. Although the facts are in front of them, they still can't believe what happened. There is also a leader of the dark elves. Moro couldn't help but smile bitterly. The other mages are similar, if they are ordinary dark elves, it's fine. After all, they have also solved some problems. Although they are relatively powerful, the technological weapons are also powerful, at least they can handle it. However, the ability to become the leader of the Dark Elves, of course, must be extremely terrifying, but now he has been easily defeated by Wang Yang. It's not that powerful, right? It's just a little bit stronger than the average Dark Elves. Wang Yang was noncommittal. After hearing Wang Yang's words, other mages would not think so easily that this dark elf leader is really easy to deal with. After all, they also know about dark elves, especially they have played against some dark elves. Mordo even fought Malekith. Basically, he only gets beaten. Doesn't that mean that Wang Yang's strength has surpassed that of the Archmage? I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.